stay there.
You play to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets.
Jets, Jets. There he is, the accordion playing Jets fan. One of my favorites on YouTube. I've watched more of that guy's videos than I care to admit. I love him. But hello, everybody. After hearing our accordion playing Jets fan friend, I'd like to welcome you to the Thursday Thick of It for this week. My name is GreenBean. I am happy you're here. But what would I be doing if I stayed on the screen solo style for any longer without bringing on, you know him, you love him. Let's get to Frankie from Flatbush. What's up, Frankie?
Where else do you want to be? It's the middle of the week. It's Thursday Thick of It. We're on to Thursday. We're in the thick of it. And there's only one place to be when it's Thursday and you're in the thick of it. And that's in GreenBean's house. And that's where we are. So it works out perfectly and we love it.
Yeah, well, thank you. I agree. And you know where GreenBean's house is today, Frankie? I was just talking to you. I'm in a place, guys, called Winnie, Texas. Winnie, like think Minnie, or, like Minnie Mouse, Winnie. Well, Winnie the Pooh is where I was going with that, Frankie. I was like, wait, how'd I get so far away? Winnie the Pooh. So I'm in Winnie, Texas. The things I can tell you about it are there is an RV park here, because that's where I am. Small one right off the highway. And then there is a Whataburger. There is a Taco Bell, McDonald's, Burger King, and 3 or 4 gas stations. Other than that, I know very little about Winnie. But you spent a lot of time in Texas, and you say you've never heard of this place. Am I in that obscure of a location, Frankie?
That's correct. They must not have a psychiatric institution or a prison in Winnie, Texas, because that's mostly where I was driving around to visit. But and we won't get into the reasons for that. But the point is that I can vouch for Whataburger. I don't know if you've actually eaten at the Whataburger, GreenBean, but what I can tell you is you're in for a treat if you haven't already.
Well, my son, we were in Texas last year, and maybe a year and a half ago. It's actually where I bought this RV that I'm in right now. It was in Houston, Texas. And we drove by, 50, 60 Whataburger signs. And my son has asked to stop at every single one of them. And since we've gotten here, there are a few over the border in Louisiana that we saw, but very few, 2 or 3. And since we've gotten to Texas, we've seen, 5 or 6 of them already. And my son has asked to stop at every single one of them. And now there is one walking distance from here, maybe a 10-minute walk from where I sit, and we're still not going. So what is wrong with me? Why won't I take my son to Whataburger? What is
you gotta let him try. It's a Southern delicacy. You gotta go to Whataburger. Even if you wind up not liking it, you should have the experience. Just like, if you may notice in small town Texas, there are things called the hitching posts. Do you know what the hitching posts are for?
No, I don't. I mean, it sounds like one of two things. One is it's where you put your horse. Number 2, it's someplace where we could go to find maybe a fun night with your chosen partner. Is that what it is?
It's where you hook up your horse. You gotta hitch your horse to a hitching post. Even though, most of the people in Texas are driving around in cars, they still have the hitching post from the 1800s. It's pretty cool.
Wow, that's incredible. Texas is a crazy place. We came from New Orleans. I was in New Orleans the last 3 days. And when I hit the Texas border, as soon as we got over from Louisiana, it said, I saw a sign, it said 857 miles to El Paso, which is the other side of the panhandle, just a straight shot across lengthwise of Texas. 857 miles. That's like Miami to Baltimore. Like, that's how far that is. It's like almost the entire eastern seaboard. That's just so crazy. It blew our mind. We're like, oh my God, this place is huge. So yeah, man, Texas is where I am. We're going to head to San Antonio, see a little bit of Alamo action. We're hoping to get at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas, SeaWorld San Antonio, maybe see Austin a little bit. And then we're going to figure it out from there, Frankie. We have very little plans after that. But before we get going on the show here, we can talk about Texas as long as we want. But I wanted to say hi. I see more and more people coming in, so I want to just take a minute and say hello to some people. New York Jets fan 4 was first and foremost today. Thank you for being here so early. 7:31. New York Jets fan 4. He was followed by my good buddy Matt Simon. Not that you're not my good buddy either, New York Jets fan 4. It's just I happen to know Matt longer. That's all I'm saying. That's all I mean. Rusty Spooner. We're going to call him Leo Chanel. That's his guy. And Hassan Haskins. Ethan Gluck is here. He says, let's do this. We're in, Ethan. We got it. Mike Chernick is here. Philip Bagachuk. Good to see you, Philip. Lawrence Wapples, Ant Jets. Phil Adams, our buddy from the UK, from Stoke-on-Trent. One of our most ardent supporters, Frankie. I think Phil is, Phil's just about one of the crew, isn't he now? So, and you have the banner hanging behind you.
Yeah.
Was sent from Phil Adams from the UK,
yeah,
wasn't it?
Yeah, I did not go to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to get this flag. It was sent to me by Phil Adams.
Yeah, I mean, that's how cool he is. And you guys know I wear a shirt that Phil sent, the official jersey from Stoke-on-Trent soccer team or football team. I hate to offend, but yeah, we love Phil. So California Cash is here, Joe Buck and the rest. I'm not going to say that. You know what I mean, Joe Buck. If you can find it, Frankie, you'll know what I'm talking about here. FOC is here, follower of Christ. Eric Craig, Mitt Flair, Jets Mess, Liberal Irishman, Twisted Mind is back. Benji Unger, Leah Hunter, Jerome Strax, Squints, official New York Jets fans. That's Ali. Ali is heading down to the Senior Bowl. I don't know if you're there yet. I think it's still a little bit early, maybe. But Ali will be with us next week, Frankie, live from the Senior Bowl festivities.
Ooh,
yeah, we get
live.
Yeah, so we get Ali while he's down there at the Senior Bowl. Sweet. Interestingly, tonight's guest is Dylan from Jetnation, and he's actually going down to the Senior Bowl as well. And he was unable to coordinate. Everything got crazy for him, and he had to cancel last minute. We'll get him on, but that would have been interesting to have him on the front end and Ali in the thick of it. But I'm just grateful to have Ali, and love you being here, buddy. Truly, I'm always grateful when you pop in, and we appreciate. I can't wait to have you on, Ali. I just can't wait. We have tons of questions for you, buddy.
What about this guy? What about that guy? Who's the best? Who's the worst? Who's running the routes? Who's getting beat? We're gonna have a ton of questions for Ali.
What's LaFleur eating? What's he eating?
Is he having a Whataburger?
Yeah, exactly. Are they eating Whataburger? So yeah, Edward Ziff, MC is here. I got to get in touch with you, MC. I'm sorry, buddy. It's been a lot of travel this past maybe 10 days. I've been all over the place. I'm exhausted tonight. I'm really running out of energy here. Mo Lake Louiso and Frankie, before we get really started, I want to tell you, Mo Lake was in the stream with us last night. We had our first classic Jets games watch party together, private watch party. We watched the Midnight Miracle for all of my Patreon supporters. It's one of the things that we do every last Wednesday of the month. Every one of my Patreon has the access to the stream. Last night we watched 2 hours of the Midnight Miracle, and it's funny, with 4 minutes left, we still didn't believe we were going to win. But it was such an amazing game. Frankie, you were there, and Mo Lake was there, and so many others. But if you guys want to get in on that, the information from my Patreon is in the description, and we have different events for different tiers. Every single Wednesday night, we have things going on. It's going to be a blast. So anyway, you can do that as well. But so, Frankie, not to get off course too much here, but what do you think? I want to ask you a question, and then I want to get to our sponsor. But as far as like Ali's going to the Senior Bowl, Dylan from Jetnation is going to the Senior Bowl, I'm really curious, and I actually thought about this earlier today. You've been trying to get on the Jets media board, or, like Access Media, not the media board. Why are you not going to the Senior Bowl? What happened? Did you try at least?
Well, that one, I figured I could ask. So I've been asking those who don't know, I've been asking the Jets for a press pass, and you're allowed to request one, and it's easy to do. And I figured I could do that, and I could be on the Zoom calls. So a lot of times this year they're on Zoom calls. They're not actually there. So I figured I could be on the Zoom call and they could call on me to ask the question. And that's not a problem. I wouldn't have to go to New Jersey and go to the facility because I wouldn't be able to do that. But
Right.
with Mobile, the Senior Bowl, for those who don't know, is in Mobile, Alabama, which is quite far away. I'm currently in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I wouldn't really be able to travel down to Mobile. Otherwise, I would have asked to do that, but I'm not really, I can't really travel at this point in time.
Oh, okay. So you're just kind of conceding defeat. Frankie, I might actually be able to. My father is in Las Vegas. He's like my father does the RV thing as well, and he's kind of pit stopped for the season in Las Vegas. And he says, "Come on over, man." So I've been kind of contemplating that. But the interesting thing is that's where the draft is. So I could potentially kill two birds with one stone. No intended puns or anything, nobody dying or anything like that. But maybe I can go see my old man and get into the draft. Maybe I could talk to Jetnation and try to see if they could squeeze me in. What do you think of that? Wow. Wouldn't that be cool?
Now that would really be something. Then we would have a man on the inside. We would have, and not only that, but maybe you could bring your old man on. We could see Senior Bean. How about old man GreenBean?
He's an old he'd be called Grumpy Bean in the 13 seconds. Everybody go, oh man, and this guy, he's a grumpy bastard. Plus, he's a Giants fan.
What?
He's a New York Giants fan and kind of a Raiders fan, just because they were so mean. He's like, I can't not love a team that was that mean. You know what I mean? In the 70s and stuff. But yeah, that's the thing. It's amazing that I came out a Jets fan because my whole family, except for Aunt Gina, who many of you guys know. Aunt Gina was the only Jets fan in my family. Everyone else was a Giants fan, including my father. He even told me when I was becoming a Jets fan, he said, you're making a mistake. They suck, and they're always going to suck. I said, yeah, I love them. They're great. Sack exchange. Yeah. So that's the way that went. But who knows? Maybe I figure that out, and we can have Ali at the Senior Bowl, and then maybe GreenBean can be at the draft. That would be interesting. I would try so hard to get any scoop I could. I'd get none, but I'd try. I would
independent
try.
media everywhere. Questions. The point is, we'd have independent media everywhere. What do we need the beat for? Boycott the beat, we say. We'll have Ali at the Senior Bowl. We'll have GreenBean at the draft. We'll have Matt and Ryan over at OTAs. Who knows what we could do? The independent media, we are strong. We are Legion.
That's right. We are Legion, and I like that. And we're just kind of slowly branching out into the real world, coming out of this YouTube bubble into the real world. I wanted to say, Eric Craig says that he ate Whataburger tonight, Frankie. Isn't that interesting? He ate dinner at Whataburger tonight. That's incredible. I think that's, hey, it ain't no happenstance. There's more to it. You see, this ain't no happenstance, everybody. I like it's kind of fate. That's how I look at it. But Twisted Mind says, laugh my effing OA. I think it's AO. But GreenBean says he's exhausted as he bounces off the walls. I know this is how I deal with being tired. It's why I never sleep, Twisted Mind, because I overcompensate and I end up running myself even more ragged. My wife says, dude, please go to sleep. And I'm like, it's 4 a.m. I'm like, I'm going to put this video out. That's how I go. But Frankie, before we get into the rest of the show, I want to talk about our sponsor real quick, guys. DraftKings, the playoffs are still here, and we have a brief word from DraftKings while they still have this amazing offer for you guys. So here, take a second and hear a word from our sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. The NFL playoffs are here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official betting partner of the NFL, is kicking things off with a huge offer. Counting down to Super Bowl 56, they're going to give all new customers using the promo code GreenBean 56-1 odds. That's putting just $5 down, and you win $280 in free bets if the team you choose wins the game. It's $5. All you do is take $5, put it down on any NFL team to win any NFL playoff game. If that team wins, all new customers using the promo code GreenBean are going to get $280 back in free bets.
It's that simple. And if you don't have sportsbook in your area, don't even worry. DraftKings has something for you too. All people everywhere can play their daily fantasy contests for huge prizes, and DraftKings is also giving all new customers the chance to win millions of dollars in total prizes with your first deposit. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, use promo code GreenBean, and get 56 to 1 odds. Again, $5, win 280 back in free bets. That's promo code GreenBean, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official betting partner of the NFL.
Well, there they are, DraftKings, and the information, the link to sign up and download the app of the DraftKings Sportsbook is right below. It's the top mention in the description of this very video. Get yourself some 56 to 1 odds, everybody. So thank you to DraftKings. Now, Frankie S. says something interesting, Frankie. He says that he's a Jets fan in New Orleans, and he figured that I was at the French Quarter RV Resort. And he had a pickup today and was asking if anybody saw me. Now, how cool is that? But the truth is, Frankie S., is that I didn't stay at that RV resort. I saw it, and we could have. We usually choose to stay outside of the city, especially older cities, like even in the Northeast, like Boston and Baltimore and those, because they're very tight. So I don't like to drive my RV through those streets. So we actually stayed at a state park about 20 minutes west, Benoit State Park, or Joe Beningo State Park over there outside of New Orleans. But that's cool, man. And I drive around with a big, huge banner on the back of my truck. So usually if you asked for me, they'd be like, oh, that's that guy who drives around that big ass truck with his face on it. So yeah, that would have been cool. But thanks for trying, man. Thanks for trying. So, Frankie, today's a big day. I didn't know if you knew this, but I wanted to tell you that this is a huge deal. The Jets have just signed Javonte Moffitt. And I don't know if you knew about that.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. So what do you have any thoughts about taking yet another Cleveland Brown over to the New York Jets? What are your thoughts on Javonte Moffitt? Anybody in the chat have any thoughts on Javonte Moffitt? What do you think?
I mean, one of the things you could glean from some of the things that are going on with these future reserved contracts is what is Joe Douglas a little worried about right at the moment? So these are depth guys. I mean, and Javonte Moffitt is a safety. So we keep picking up all these safeties, and I think that tells you Joe Douglas currently, before free agency and before the draft, is a little worried about the safety position, as he should be. Now, what else has happened on the practice squad? We're trying to turn Lawrence Cager from a wide receiver into a tight end. That's pretty strange. Why are we doing that? Well, we're probably a little worried about the tight end room. Again, before free agency, before the draft, we don't know how that's going to go. So we're a little worried about that, but we got Cager back. We're turning him to a tight end. We also got another guy in for a workout from the Canadian Football League. I don't know if you read about that. Now, we didn't sign him yet. His name was Katoy or something like that. And he's another wide receiver who we're trying to turn into a tight end. So I think these things really tell you what Joe Douglas is a little worried about, in terms of depth, positional depth on our roster right now. And unless somebody has some specific information on Moffitt or Katoy or Cager, I think that's what we can probably glean from these signings.
Yeah. And I think, that's a really good point. I mean, especially about the particular positions that we're bringing in. The truth is that we want some guys that we know are going to be here in camp. And, if you're scouring waiver wires later, that's all fine. But he just says, hey, this kid has a little bit of potential to be maybe a depth piece, special teams or whatever. Just go out and get him on here. But it is interesting that we're bringing in safeties, and we're bringing in a guy that we know very well, the 6'5" Lawrence Cager. Very good hands too, Lawrence Cager has. And I think the thought with Cager is that maybe if he puts on the extra mass, maybe that can limit his injuries. I mean, moving him to a position where he has to maybe block more contact doesn't seem like the best move. But maybe the extra body mass, maybe if he adds 20 pounds of muscle or something like that, maybe it can help limit the injuries. I don't know, but it's an interesting one. I'd love to see Cager stick, but I'm not putting up too much hope for him. Frankie, before we move on, I want to just make sure everybody knows Jeremy Cravat is also here in the background right now. We'll bring him on in a little while. Why not? Jeremy always has some fun stuff to say. And I wanted to remind you, he's in the chat as well, trying to make sure I don't miss any of the more colorful and or beneficial messages that you guys put out there. And but Jeremy's channel is NFL Chaos with Jeremy, and he's out there doing great stuff too. Does more mocks than any of us currently, I think. He's the mock master, and but he's here with us too, and you'll see him in the chat, and we'll bring him on in a little while as well. But Frankie, I see a pretty good question here. I just saw it. Where was it? Oh, from Nathan Wygonic. He said, I'm going to ask this directly to you, Frankie. Would you rather have Marcus Williams, and for anybody who doesn't know, that's the safety from the New Orleans Saints, who is an unrestricted free agent this coming year. Would you rather have that fella or Kyle Hamilton in the draft? What would you do if you had your druthers?
Well, my first question would be, why not both? How about an and instead of an or? So if I had my druthers, we would sign Marcus Williams, draft Kyle Hamilton, and sign Jaron Kearse from the Dallas Cowboys for a big nickel safety to come in certain situations. That's how much help I think we need at safety. But if you put a gun to my head and you said, Frankie, you can only have one of these guys. You can't have both. I'd probably take Hamilton because I can sign him to a rookie contract, and he's going to be a lower cost. And he has probably more potential, although right now at this particular moment in time, Marcus Williams, you'd have to say, is better because Kyle Hamilton has to come into the league. But of course, Hamilton has his potential. He's also a lower cost. I can control him for 5 years if he's a first-round pick. So if I had to choose one just based on the contract, I would say Hamilton.
Interesting. Here's an interesting thought, and I like what you said there. Why not both, Nathan? Why not both?
Yeah.
One as a vet, bring in a vet. We have no safeties. I mean, literally right now, we have Ashton Davis under contract, and then now we have Levante Moffitt. Like, that's really it.
And Pinnock. Don't forget about Elijah my boy Riley. Pinnock, Greenbean. Don't forget Jason
technically, technically speaking, I guess you could apply him as well, and he is under contract. So why not? Why not include Pinnock to that mix? But even with him, Frankie, we're looking pretty bare. The cupboard is look, we got a can of B&M baked beans in the cupboard and maybe an old cranberry sauce. Like, that's how bare our cupboard is. Technically, we can eat, but it's not exactly a feast. You know what I'm saying? So why not both? But here's an interesting piece too. Marcus Williams is coming from the Saints, and he has a partner down there in the Saints who is also a free agent, and his name is PJ Williams, and both of these guys played all 16 games last year, Frankie. All 16 games, which, hey, if we can find guys that are playing it's really 17 games, but I think every single game, right? So they played, I'm still stuck on the 16 thing, but they played every game last year. And imagine that you bring in as many guys as you can that actually make it through the season, get an influx of guys who find a way to stay healthy throughout the course of a season. Why not bring in his partner, PJ Williams, 28 years old, $194, 6 foot tall, 36 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss, 5 passes defensed, 3 interception, and a forced fumble in 2001 from the strong safety position. So what do you think about maybe bringing in 2 guys that, number one, make it through the season, number 2, have a high level of familiarity with one another, and number 3, are also free agents? What do you think about that mix?
Well, I like it. And PJ Williams is also versatile, so you can move him all around, and he's not going to break the bank like Marcus. So I like both of those players. If we brought him in as a tandem, great. And then we bring in Jaron Kearse as a low-cost guy to bring in big nickel situations, and then our safeties are all set. Then we don't need Kyle Hamilton, and then maybe we can get we get something else. We either fix up the offensive line, or we get
then you get Karlaftis
or whoever. So I'm okay with that. I don't think it would break the bank. One thing we have to keep in mind with these free agents is, why would they want to come here? That's the other thing. Everybody always says, what about Devontae Adams? What about, this one and that one? Well, you have to think these guys, if they're at the top, so Marcus Williams is probably the top available safety in the class of free agents. So he's number one. And then number two is Jesse Bates, and number three is Quandre Diggs. That's the top of the market. Why would these guys want to come to the Jets? We haven't won yet. We've won 6 games the last 2 years. 6. Number two, we play on a field of rubber. Our playing surface is rubber. So that's not good. Number three, we also have high tax rate in the state of New York and New Jersey, both of them, wherever they're going to live. So these are negatives to people coming here. So the top of the market guys who are going to have basically every team wants Marcus Williams. Who doesn't want Marcus Williams? Everybody wants Marcus Williams. So if he has all the choice in the world, why would he come here? So that's why I think in my videos, I tend to take a look at the middle of the tier of free agencies, even the bottom, and see who might be a good value, who might see coming here as a step up in their career, who might want to be coached by our coaches and other things like that are pluses. But the top of the market guys it's the pick of the litter. They can basically get to choose wherever they want to go. So I love the idea of both of the Williams brothers coming, and then we got Quincy Williams and Quinnen. We got all the Williamses. So maybe we'll change the name to the New York Williamses. But
why not?
Why not? But I don't mind it at all if they want to come here. Maybe they know Coach Saleh and they want to play for him, or they love Coach Ulbrich. Great. I love it. But we should but we should also have contingency plans in case these top guys don't want to come here.
Well, I imagine that would be a smart course. Have a plan B, as we say, maybe even all the way to plan Q, something like that. But it's an interesting thing, like a lot of Jets fans, like the past couple of years, we've talked ad nauseum coming from it from pretty much every angle, why Joe Douglas has handled free agency the way that he has, which is a lot of one-year contracts, very little commitment on Joe Douglas's end. 1-year contracts, maybe a 2-year contract, lots of stuff like that, not really going out and blowing the doors off any of the big name free agents. We did commit to Carl Lawson and Corey Davis, but outside of those two, it's really slim pickings as far as how many we've committed to over the years that Joe Douglas has been here. But here's another piece that for some reason I don't hear as much as I think we should hear it. And that's when you add it to what you were just saying, higher taxes, just all that kind of stuff, the history here. But also the last 2 years, we've had Adam Gase on top of it. Like, do you know how hard of a sell you got? Jamal Adams out there running his mouth, even when the first year that he was here, about how terrible it is. He wants to get out of here, all that kind of stuff. Why would people, even if Joe Douglas says, I'll give you an extra $2 million a year, and they're like, well, number one, a lot of that's going to get eaten up in taxes. And number two, everybody's miserable over there. Like, why would I go there? And that's something I think that we have to remember that was part of it. We've already seen a little bit of that turning around with guys like Sheldon Rankins and a couple others. They said they talked to Saleh on the phone, and that was the reason that they did sign with the Jets, because, or maybe it was Zoom or whatever. But they talked to Robert Saleh, and he was able to talk some sense into them a little bit, or at least make them believe in the mission. And Frankie, this offseason, we've heard the likes of CJ Mosley, Bryce Hall, even a little bit of Morgan Moses, a little bit, talking about how much they like it here and how much, hey, if you want to really be a part of turning something around, this is the place to come. There's no better opportunity than right here. Do you think that can stick? Do you think guys listen to words like that and they're like, well, CJ Mosley has a good point. So does Bryce Hall. If I want to really be a part of something great, I got to go and help the Jets come out of the dark. Do you think that's real? You think that happens at all?
I mean, I think it could. I mean, but that's why I think, for a guy like Marcus Williams or Devontae Adams, I don't think so. But if you think about a guy like Quandre Diggs, maybe a kid like the perfect guy is like a guy like Justin Reed in Houston. Okay. So Justin Reed, Coach Saleh has coached his brother. He's familiar with Coach Saleh, and he's going to be coming from Houston, which is a bad situation right now with Deshaun Watson. What's going on with that, franchise? Right. They don't have a coach. They don't have anything right now. Who knows what's going on with Davis Mills? And he might look at coming here. If we give him $10 million, he might go, oh, great. That's a step up for me. I can go to New York. I like Coach Saleh. I like the coaching staff. It's a higher profile situation. Okay. So Justin Reed would want to come here. Whereas it's a different situation when you're talking about Marcus Williams, and basically every team in the NFL wants a Marcus Williams. There's very few teams like with Buffalo Bills who have, Hyde and Poyer. They don't need a Marcus Williams, but there's very few teams like that. most teams could use an upgrade at safety like a Marcus Williams. So he's going to be able to go many different places. But Justin Reed, not so much. Justin Reed is sort of the middle of the market or maybe the bottom of the market. And that is a guy that we can get. So it's situational, I think. And as we start to win, now our coaching staff now, so the Gase thing we cleared out. We got rid of Gase. We got rid of Dowell Loggins. We got rid of Greg Williams and his F-bombs and everything. So we got rid of those guys and we cleaned out the building. We fumigated the building and we brought in people that do want to be, who people do want to be coached by. People do want to be coached by Tony Oden. People do want to be coached by Coach Manuel. People do want to be coached by Coach Sala and Coach Ulbrich. So so we turned that around. And then if we start winning, like I think most of us believe this year in 2022, we're going to be in the hunt. I think we're going to be in the hunt. Like when when they show that graphic on television for the playoffs in the hunt, we'll be one of the teams on there. Like we're not going to be necessarily in the playoffs, but we'll be in the hunt. Maybe. I think that's the hope. And so if we do have a year like that and it's 7 or 8 or 9 wins, something like in that neighborhood, then teams start going, okay, Coach Sala, Coach Ulbrich, Coach LaFleur, Coach Oden. Okay, I like that. People are saying great things about the organization. Morgan Moses said from the janitor all the way up to Joe Douglas, it's Class A all the way. They got daycare over there. They got all the things. And now they have good coaches. Okay, then we can start, appealing to people a little bit more. But we got to start winning. That part hasn't happened yet. And because that part hasn't happened yet, we probably, I think, now I'd love to get a top of the market guy. But my personal opinion is that we probably are not in that. We probably can't play in that arena, I think.
That's deflating a little bit, I must admit. I think that, look, we've heard this term over the past maybe decade that we have to pay something called the Jets tax, which is a little bit extra just to be on the even playing field as the other team. All things are equal, but if they're going to choose us, we got to give them $1 million more per year for 4 years, whatever it might be. And I think that still might apply. But hey, Frankie, an argument can be made that the winning has begun. I mean, look, we went from 2 wins to 4 wins. So we're on our way. We doubled our win total this year. And I think that might be incredibly attractive for the big name free agents out there. Guys like Marcus Williams and maybe even Devontae Adams. They're going to see that culture change, that doubling of the win total and think, oh yeah, that's where we need to be. But Frankie, we got a few super chats. We got Jonathan Francois. Thank you, sir, for the super chat. I appreciate it. He says, thanks for sharing your Jets fandom with us. With a little heart, man. Well, thank you, Jonathan. That's appreciated, man. And it's our pleasure, dude. I think this is something we look forward to. Isn't that right, Frankie? You look forward to stuff like this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's better than hanging out with fam of the Jets fam, we call them, or the Jet streamers? I mean, like last night, GreenBean, we, for those who weren't there on the Patreon, we had people hanging out watching the Midnight Miracle. Can you believe it? We had Dennis Miller in the booth. We had a 19-year-old Melissa Stark reporting from the sideline. She looked like she was 19 years old. Let's go down to the teenage intern, and she looks like she's 19 years old. And there's Melissa Stark. Hey, tell me about it. And everybody's cracking jokes and having fun and watching one of the greatest comebacks of all time. How much fun was that? And it's just like this. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's really a funny thing to say, man. It's like, we all were taken by that. Like, she looked particularly young in that broadcast. But something else interesting happened. I don't know if Jets fans remember this, but Arnold Schwarzenegger came on the broadcast, and the Jets were down 30-7. And he said, the Jets are going to come back. I'm telling you, the Jets are going to come back and win this game. The Miami Dolphins will be terminated. He literally said that, and they were like, I don't know, Arnold. They don't look too good. And they did come back, and they called back to it later and said, holy shit, he was right. But that was pretty amazing. I forgot all about that. Once I saw it, I remembered it. But, man, it was a great time. If anybody wants to get in on that, again, my Patreon information is right there in the top of the description. And, and I appreciate any support you guys can give. And speaking of such, I want to thank Bismo Charismo from the land down under. Thanks, Biz. I appreciate the super chat. He says, hi, guys. Honest take, with all the crazy mock drafts going on and looking at the Jets roster with needs everywhere, is it better to take premium picks at 4 and 10 or trade back a bit and take more value, guys? Well, let me take a shot at that real quick, and I'll turn it over to you, Frankie. I think a lot can be said for trading back. Now, I think the main benefit of a trade back would be to continue this streak of having more premium picks in the first round. So, I mean, guys, we have a top 5 and a top 10 pick. So you forget that first round picks are still incredibly valuable. Pick 27 is still immensely better than a third round pick, and all that. So, first round picks are important no matter where they are. And even second round picks are incredibly valuable. So if you can trade back and get, let's say, just as an example, another first for 2023, and then you still stay in the first round this year, there's an argument to be made for that. Because number one, you don't know where the first round pick's going to be next year. It could also be a top 10 or something like the Seattle pick this year. But in addition to that, you're still getting a swing, an extra swing in that premium bubble of the first round. So there's an argument to be made for why someone would choose quantity over quality, because the truth is the quality's still not that damn bad. It's like we're way up top of the draft. There are 1,000 people there, that want to get drafted. There are 250 something draft picks. And when you're in the first 32 of that group, there's something to be said for that, obviously. Now, the Jets have had more than a couple picks in each round for a few years now. And I got to say, at some point, you got to make use of those early picks, those what we call blue chips. And blue chips are that premium end of the first round bubble, that top of the draft, the guys that only a few teams get a swing at. So at some point, I think it would be wise to grab what we like to call some freaks, some guys like a Chase Young, guys like that just aren't in the rest of the draft. Yes, you can get good pass rushers and guys come out of nowhere and all that. But the guy that has more than likely the chance to make it, you want some of those guys. You want the guy who has a legitimate opportunity to be great. And I think at some point you got to take those. So I'm a fan of the group that thinks, let's take a player with 4 and maybe trade back from 10 if you're going to do anything. Now, if somebody blows your doors off like the Niners did last year, 3 first-round picks and a third to move back 10 spots or so, whatever it was, that I might take that, because that is franchise changing. So that gives you so many more swings in the premium realm that I think you can't ignore it. But other than that, I think I'd prefer to see them take a player at 4 rather than play the trade back game, unless it's a great offer. What do you think, Frankie? What do you think? We should stay there and just pick, or are you looking for some trade action?
Well, I think it depends on a lot. I mean, this is kind of a boring answer, but it depends on a lot of factors. How does free agency go? Did we fix the offensive line? Because if we didn't, then we probably need to stay at 4 and either take Neal or Kwanu, at the very least, or stay at 4 and maybe Hutchinson falls to us at 4. Now we got our edge rusher to go with Lawson. So now you can no longer pass on us anymore. Okay, we took care of that. And then at 10, maybe I get a Kwanu, or maybe at 10 I get Charles Cross, or maybe at 10 I could get Linderbaum or something, and I do something with my offensive line. But if we sign Laken Tomlinson, let's say, for right guard, now the offensive line is done. Now that increases the chances I can trade back. But the other thing that it depends on is what's the offer. It takes 2 to tango, as Gary Vee once said. And it depends on what the offer is. If somebody comes and makes you a Trey Lance type offer, like the 49ers did, then you might do it because it's just too good to pass up. But if somebody's coming and giving you a meh offer that's just a little bit better than what then you might not. I mean, so the answer is it depends, which is a terrible answer, but it just depends on so many things. We don't yet know what we have in free agency. If we knock it out of the park in free agency and we fill up a lot of our holes, well, then maybe we stick at 4 and 10, because all we need is 2 more pieces. All we need is Hutch and Neal. That's all we need. Because we filled a lot of our holes in free agency. But let's say nobody wants to sign with us. We can't get anybody to come here. Well, then we might trade back because we got more holes to fill and we need more quantity. So I hate to say it, but it kind of depends.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you ultimately got on a pretty good answer, but that it depends shit, Oh man, everybody knows it depends, Frankie.
I
We all
know,
know
I
that.
know, I
Everybody
know,
knows.
I
But
know.
but you did well, but I agree with you. I think obviously it does depend on free agency, right, Bismo? Like what we're gonna do. Who do we sign? Let's say we do get Marcus Williams and James Daniels from the Bears, and maybe we do lock up a lot of our major holes, and then we have a little bit more room. Now you're looking for long term. You're looking to trade back with four. Somebody says, "Hey, we'll give you a first, our number 10 or our number 12, and we'll give you a first next year." Maybe you're more willing to do that because you don't have that urgency to grab somebody with your top 5 pick. Then it can be interesting. But I think, it really depends on the offer. I don't think that we're in the place that we just take any offer. Like somebody says, there's no quarterbacks. I'm still willing to give you a second and a fifth to move up. It's like, no, thank you. I'll just take the guy who's at 4. It's not worth it.
Right.
So I hope that helps, Bismo. I want to get to another super chat. It's Kyle Ornsby, our old friend. What's up, Kyle? Good to see you, buddy. He says, love the content, Greenbean. Keep it coming. Well, thank you, and I appreciate that. Everyone says we need mostly offense, but we can't just disregard the D like a redheaded stepchild. Yeah. And what's interesting about this is for so many years, the Jets were all defense. It's like we ignored the offense forever. But Joe Douglas's last 2 drafts, his premium picks, he's used exclusively on offense. He kept the defensive picks for later in the draft. Excuse me. As we know, he did use 2/3 in the 2020 draft on defense, but the first and second went to offense. And then his first 4 rounds of picks, 2 firsts, a second, and the 4th, went all to offense as well. So I think at some point the Joe Douglas regime will have to spend some of this premium capital on the defensive side of the ball. Now, a lot of people are saying because of the Buffalo game, it's like the one game, and everybody says now we need to ignore defense and go offense because the Buffalo's Bills number 1 defense got torched with 13 seconds left and all that. And look, we all know that the NFL has kind of altered their rules this past 10 years or so to really make it easier for the offense to score points. And so that's the most exciting thing about football. That's what pays the bills. So they want to make it easier for the offenses to get that done. So they've made it more difficult on defenses. So that could really support the idea that just, hey, man, just get your offense as electric as you can, and you'll win more games than not. At the same time, man, I think that, don't forget, Buffalo's defense in many respects got them to that game. So we can't just look at one, you know what I mean? Like we can't look at the one game, you know what I mean? And say, look, defense is no longer important. Like, dude, their defense got them there. They were the number 1 takeaway defense in the NFL for much of the year. And that's how the offense had so many chances to win the games. And we cannot forget that. Our defense was 32nd in the league, not 31st, not 27th, 32nd. And we need some premium talent in there. Now, if you take care of it in free agency, a couple holes, great. I'd love to see a cornerback, like a vet cornerback to mix in with the kids. I'd love to see a safety like Marcus Williams or maybe Reed or Quandre Diggs might shake free. I think they voided his last year of his contract, so that could be interesting. But I'd love to see a vet safety and a vet cornerback to round out our young core that we have back there. And but other than that, man, like I think, you really do have to use some of the front end draft capital on defense. Now, if you want to make that the 2 seconds, fine. If that's what you want to do, if you want to do 1 and 1 in both rounds, fine. But you can't ignore the defense, like Kyle Ornsby says, like a redheaded stepchild. Frankie, what's your take on this? Do you think we gotta just disregard the D because of the new trend since the Buffalo game?
Well, no, because first of all, they were, that was just a crazy game, and it was one game, and it was Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, and crazy things happened. But look at the 49ers. What about the 49ers against the Packers? They completely befuddled Aaron Rodgers, the Hall of Fame quarterback, and look what they did. And that's who we're trying to be. I mean, if you're looking at if you're curious what the model is for us, look at the 49ers. That we're trying to get to where they're at with a better quarterback. We're hoping that Zach Wilson eventually becomes better than Jimmy G, say. But
Right.
generally speaking, we're hoping that Elijah Moore is like Deebo Samuel. We're hoping that our defense, our 4-3, 4-2-5, depending how you look at it, is like theirs, where we go 8 deep with the defensive linemen and all of that stuff, and we have a fullback like Juicebox who just does everything. So that's who we're trying to be, and look at that. So I think you got to play it evenly, and we got to hope again. I mean, the main thing is Zach Wilson. We got to hope that Zach Wilson is that high level caliber quarterback like a Mahomes and Allen and Rodgers and Brady. So that way we can play at that level, because you need that, and you need that for sure. And if he's not that good, then we got to start all over with that. So it doesn't really matter. But in the meantime, we need defense and you need offense. I mean, there's no reason to neglect anything. You got to try and build as strong a roster as possible. But I do think I agree with you, GreenBean, that the Bills wouldn't have been there without their defense. That defense was stifling. I mean, they killed us. I mean, they just manhandled us. And that's what you want. You want that kind of a thing where you can manhandle people and just kill them. make them not want to play football anymore. Make them want to give up. That's what you want.
Totally. And that's what that defense in the week prior, that's what they did to the Patriots. That's what they did to the rookie Mac Jones and the New England Patriots. That defense beat the hell out of them all day long. And that's the thing. Like, again, I'm well aware that it's an offense league. Like the old saying, offense wins games, defense wins championships. That's not necessarily the case anymore. They changed the league. And in my opinion, irreparably. Like this is the new NFL. High flying offense. We've seen a lot more spread offenses come into the NFL from the college ranks, where that was kind of a no-no for many, many years. As far as NFL coaches were concerned, it was more of, what we call a pro offense, and we've seen a lot more of that. And I think the NFL is not only welcoming it, but they're encouraging it. They want more points. That's what they want. They want to protect the quarterbacks so they can be around longer. The more exciting, the more protection they get. And that's we might hate it. And the truth is I do. But that's the way that it goes. So nobody's, I think, under any illusions that that's the way it is. And we do have to have that. At the same time, just like me and Frankie were talking about, Buffalo's defense was so good that offense was not good enough to get them there all year without him. And that's what I think. I mean, a well-rounded roster would really be what we're shooting for here. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Like the famous Gene Simmons used to say, there's no reason you can't like steak and cheesecake. So there you go, buddy. That's what we have for you today. We have another super chat. They're flowing in right now, and I want to make sure I get to them. I know I'm behind on the chat, but we'll get there, I promise. And I want to remind you, this show, just ask questions. In about 5 minutes, I'm going to bring Jeremy on, so we'll have another voice as well. But just let us know what questions you have, and we'll try to get to them. If you do want it to be seen without question, the super chat is a good way to do it, and I appreciate that. Benji Unger checks in, Frankie. He says, I was on the Hamilton at 4 train until a couple of weeks ago, but that Ikem Aquanu would make our line scary good. I want him now. What an interesting thing. Now, there are 2 different schools here, Frankie, but, you have the defense at 4, if one of the edge rushers slide down, and then, if they're not there, a lot of us are like, well, hey, you take the next best player at another position that a dire need for us. And that would be Kyle Hamilton. But then there's the guys like, hey, it really is up top. Zach Wilson's the most important thing. Let's make sure he has the Great Wall of China in front of him. So what are your thoughts about what Benji's talking about here? He says he was on the Hamilton at 4 train until a few weeks ago. Now he's on the Icky train. What do you think about Icky at 4? And do you prefer him over Hamilton maybe?
Well, I hate to say it depends, but I like Icky. I like Hamilton.
No, you got to stop.
I know, but I mean, but the fact is, it does. It depends. If we sign Laken Tomlinson, then we don't need a Kemaquanu. But if we need a guard, then I love a Kemaquanu, and I might go that way too, just because of how important offensive line is, and I think it's the second most important thing on the team, other than the quarterback. So if we don't have a starting quality right guard, then I might go with Kemaquanu. I might go with Evan Neal. I probably would not go Linderbaum as much as I like Linderbaum as well, but I wouldn't mind that. So if we need it, I wouldn't mind it. He's got enough talent. Basically, the three, according to Brandon Thorne, the three guys who are together are Evan Neal, Linderbaum, and Ekwonu. Those are the three who are the best offensive linemen. And according to Brandon Thorne's rating system, he's a scout that I trust about the offensive line. So I like it. But if we sign a Lakin Tomlinson or a starting right guard, then we don't need that. And then, I probably would go Hamilton. Now, one thing that one of the chat members, and I forget which one, sorry, folks, was talking about Joe Blewett's recent comments about Kyle Hamilton. And remind me in the chat who was talking about this. But they were saying, okay, Joe Blewett said
I didn't see it.
Yeah, he was saying Joe Blewett has reviewed the tape, and he doesn't think that in terms of technique and football IQ, Kyle Hamilton is generational, but he does think he's generational in terms of his athleticism. So to me, that's almost good news because I can teach him technique and football IQ.
Yeah.
Who knows what that means? I mean, that's kind of nebulous. But if it's technique thing, Marquand Manuel and Tony Oden will get Kyle Hamilton squared away on technique, in two seconds. So
yeah,
I wouldn't worry. But so if he's athletically generational, to me, that's a sign that says we should get him because I can coach up the other stuff. And if that's the case,
it's an interesting comment.
Then I love Kyle Hamilton at 4.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So, it's interesting, man, that I didn't see that Blewett video. I'm glad you guys said that it was out there because I like Joe Blewett's stuff, and I'll try to go catch that as soon as I can. I respect Joe Blewett's take. Truth is, I don't always agree, but that's okay. But I do respect his take, and I find him to be one of the more interesting breakdown guys out there. And he's just so knowledgeable and so good. So I respect what he says. But like Frankie just said, if he has the athletic intangibles, we already know he can play the game of football. So his base knowledge is there. And if technique is the issue, Frankie just nailed it. That's the best issue that you want to tag someone with. Like, for example, Quentin Coples. He had all the athleticism in the world. His knock was that he's lazy and stupid. That was his knock. You know what I mean? That his work ethic. So and when we brought him in here, Rex Ryan thought that he could inspire work ethic into him, but it was already been established. The guy's half speed, half the time. And what did we see with Quentin Coples? There were moments that he was unblockable, splitting double teams. And then the rest of the game, it was like he was sleepwalking. And that's the problem with guys like that. So you want a guy that, number one, he has to pass the test with Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh and their character. And they don't just mean upstanding citizen character. They're talking about work ethic character. They're talking about the makeup of the man. When the shit hits the fan, do they go running? And like a Jamal Adams who cried he was depressed and went to the press and all this kinds of stuff. When the shit hit the fan, Jamal Adams ran. And some guys the guys that we're bringing in now, Michael Carter, Bryce Hall, those guys are not. They're the opposite. They're like, no, this is the best opportunity in the world. And that's the kind of guys that you want. But if they have that and they have the athleticism, I think our coaching staff should be good enough to get the technique part worked out. I'm not scared of that at all either. And that's a really great point. And thanks to whoever put that in there. Sorry we didn't catch who that was, but we appreciate it. So thank you. And Frankie, yes, I see a lot of tips from about New Orleans, man. I appreciate it. I'm not there anymore. I'm in Winnie, Texas now. I'm on my way to San Antonio. So we have a pit stop in Winnie right off the 10. I just pulled over. My wife found an RV spot. It's the Winnie RV Park. And that's where I am. We just pulled in. I'm not even disconnected from my truck, Frankie. We just pulled in, stabilized the RV, and here I am. So that's what we're doing. But I appreciate all the points and the tips and all that jazz. And I think MC's, he might be in there blocking some people. So thank you. If we see spam, any of the moderators that might be in here, by all means, don't spam people that you disagree with if they're saying stuff that you don't like or something. But if they're spamming, please, I appreciate the help. So let's look for some more comments. But thank you, Benji. That was a good point. And let's bring on Jeremy. What do you think, Frankie? Let's bring on Jeremy. Are you ready back there, Jeremy? Look at him. He gave me the thumbs up and anything. So, okay, let me get this going. Let's say hello to NFL Chaos with Jeremy, Mr. Mock. What's up, buddy? How you doing? Oh, you look clean shaven tonight. That's nice. How are you? Am I frozen or is Jeremy? Can you hear him, Frankie?
No, I can't hear
My
him.
bad, my bad. I said I haven't had time to shave, but I guess it's the lighting that's making me look shaved.
No, I was talking about your head. So I didn't even see the beard. I just saw your head. Your head looked nice.
The top is always like that. It's the sides I gotta.
Maybe not. Yeah. So how you doing, Jeremy? What's good?
What's good? Oh man, just crazy busy at work. Crazy busy. It's like I barely have time to do anything. So, it's just you know how it is. Life is crazy busy sometimes. So, but I'm glad I finally got out of it a little bit, and I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah, well, good, man. I'm glad you're here too, and I always appreciate you helping us out in the back end. Real quick, man, don't take too much on it because we just talked about it a little bit long. But Hamilton, just quickly, if he's there, if the edge rushers are gone, and you're at 4, and Hamilton's there, Icky's there, Evan Neal's there, are you afraid to take Hamilton, or are you okay with that pick?
I'm okay with it if JD makes it. So if JD makes the pick, I trust him. So I think that means that the scouts, I think that they've made the determination that he's the right guy, and that I believe in the plan, and I believe they have a plan, and they're doing it thoughtfully, and they're not just. It's not like the old days where I think they're just jumping at the big name or anything or doing that. I think that it's going to come from a lot of analysis. We saw in Jetsfan, the show last year before the season started, how much thought they put into it. And I like that, and I trust that. It's not what I prefer and what I'm hoping for, but I won't be furious, and I'll be very hopeful that he's going to be a generational safety.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind. So we have
I don't have the same fear either, man. And Jeremy, I want to just. Well, let me just say that, and I'll get right to you, Frank. Jeremy, I want to let you know you're a lot delayed. You're about maybe 3 seconds delayed, and you're going in and out. I could make up what you said, but I'm having difficulty hearing you. If there's something, maybe you can, if I don't know, a connection thing, shut down some windows or something. Just letting you know. But Frankie, what do you got? I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, I was going to address, there's a comment by Word, WHIRRD, about Dane Brugler and some of the folks at the Senior Bowl. I think it brings up an excellent point about guys like Dane Brugler and Jim Nagy. These are the guys who are really responsible for the Senior Bowl, and they're going to pump up the Senior Bowl kids. So just keep that in mind. Now, it doesn't mean it's not true. He's talking about Trevor Penning, and Trevor Penning's a great prospect. And he's talking about Jeremy Ruckert. So just keep in mind, there are certain guys who are going to pump up the Senior Bowl kids because they want the Senior Bowl to be promoted. They want the Senior Bowl to be an attractive destination, next year for the seniors. So there are certain guys who are going to pump people up. Doesn't mean that it's not true. And I'm sure he does believe that Penning's going to shoot up the boards and Ruckert. And Ruckert probably will be better in the NFL than college. Remember, Ohio State, they have 10,000 receivers, and they didn't have time to throw the ball to Jeremy Ruckert. So they, he probably will be better in the NFL. They just didn't have, they had 16,000 weapons. So it's not that it's not true, but just keep in mind that those guys are going to always pump up the Senior Bowl kids, and they should. They're in charge of the Senior Bowl, Jim Nagy especially.
Yeah, totally. And that's a good point. I mean, that's what we see, all over the place. I mean, their job is to create interest, right? They want viewers, and they want it to be a big deal, because let's be real here. We just saw probably a top 15 wide receiver go down in the championship game. And I mean, maybe he'll still be a first round pick. And we're talking about Williams. He goes down in that game. And so a lot of guys are making the decision not to play in these bowl games anymore. It's too valuable. Like, especially like a guy like Aiden Hutchinson. People are asking me, why isn't he playing? Why is it? Well, because he'd be stupid to play. His stock is as high as it can possibly be. There's nothing that he could do to increase his stock. The only thing he could do is drop his value. Let's say he gets a knee injury, for God's sakes. Let's say he has a terrible game. Somebody goes, you know what? On second thought, I'm not going to take him first overall. Something like that. So they want the Senior Bowl to be attractive to these guys as they weigh out whether or not it's worth it to play. Because they'll always get the dark horse guys. They'll always get the small school guys. They'll always get guys that are trying to use the Senior Bowl as a catapult into the national spotlight. And that happens often. You see a guy that comes out of nowhere and he has 5 catches for 100 yards. Who the hell's that guy from fucking TCU? Like, that kind of stuff. So you will always get those guys, but they really are hoping that Devin Lloyd, Trey McBride, Zion Johnson, they want those guys in the Senior Bowl. So the better job they can do of making it an attractive destination, the better chance they have of getting those guys. It's a year-round job for guys like Jim Nagy. I did a whole bunch of research on what the executive director has to do as I was researching Phil Savage and what his connections down there are currently for us. But man, it's a whole year-long thing. The executive director's meeting with scouts and college teams and players all year long, trying to create the Senior Bowl invitee list, who I'm going to invite to the Senior Bowl, and then the backup list and all that sort of stuff. So it's really it's very.
Oh, there goes GreenBean. There goes Winnie, Texas.
Am I still delayed, Frankie? Because I just shut a lot of things down.
You know what's funny is you weren't delayed for me, Jeremy. So it might have been.
It was GreenBean.
Yeah, might have been GreenBean.
All right, welcome to the Frankie and Jeremy reunion.
Yeah, this is chaos and calmness all over again for those who might have missed it.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Icky is up so high on the board right now. Like when you were saying take him at 4, and I've noticed a lot of people saying that now. I guess the PFN, no one's respecting that ranking anymore, are they?
Well, I think it's interesting because some of the scouts now are starting to do their scouting reports, and more of them are going to get done. And I wonder how those scouting reports feed into these simulators. Like even last year, I remember those simulators were way off. So how does the scouting reports, at what point does PFN or the Draft Network start reflecting these updated scouting reports into their simulator?
Yeah, it's odd to me, but what I'm beginning to think is that every GM for an NFL team has their own board, and they probably all look very different, just like the PFN and the Draft Tech and all those boards look different. Each GM has their own board, and that's simply what it is, and it's just based on how high each GM values each player.
GreenBean, are you back?
Yeah. You know what it is? It happened to me twice last night too. It's like I got this awesome new T-Mobile device, and it's so good, at least as far as my situation. But every stream it kicks me off at least once. Just shuts down. I have zero internet for about 30 seconds to a minute. I mean none. Like everything shuts off in the whole house, and then it's like, oh no, we're back. So I don't know what. Sorry, everybody. At least the chat was having fun with it. You had the Freeze Bean comments and the there goes GreenBean. Yep, there he goes. See you later. I'm glad you guys are still here. That's why I love having you guys here. Not only that, of course, but that's an added benefit is that I disappear and the stream lives on, and you guys just keep it going. So I'd like to just add to what Jeremy said there, and then I want to switch gears a little bit. Jeremy said he's starting to think that NFL GMs have their own boards, and I think that you're onto something. I think that you might be onto something here, Jeremy. The NFL GMs don't give a shit what anybody else says. That's why they have their scouting departments. Did you know that I think it was Jason Pinnock wasn't even on most of the Sims last year? He wasn't even there. Like we couldn't even talk about him. They didn't even have him included. You look at like Draft Tech's first top 200. He wasn't on there either. And the Jets somehow, felt strong enough to make him, I think it was a 5th round pick, Pinnock. So it's like, they do their own research. And that's why it's so incredibly important to have not only your scouting department be strong, but to have guys on the top that know exactly what to do with those scouting reports and how to disseminate. Let me tell you, every scout comes in and says, "Oh, I love this fucking guy. I love him." They all try to sell the guys that they're reviewing, and they all say the same stuff, good and bad, about the guys that they went out and researched. And the GM, the assistant GM, the director of pro personnel, whatever, they have to go and figure out what to do with that information. And we have not had that here. For the last 15 years, we've had 2 accountants and a guy named Mike McCagnon, who literally had no idea what he was doing. He wouldn't even let the scouts talk to the coaches. They were not allowed to talk to one another, which is just the craziest thing. But other than that, we had 2 accountants. So when they did all their research, they brought it in, Jeremy, and they gave it to the accountant. And he went, "I don't know. What's that mean? I guess that guy sounds good." And he would say to Rex, "Well, what do you think?" Rex is like, "I want John Connor. I want Quentin Copels. I want Calvin Pryor." Okay, well, I guess Calvin Pryor's the pick. Everybody's saying we should get a wide receiver. Screw that. I want a hard-hitting, strong safety. That's what he wanted. So, we haven't had what we have right now. And even though it's still going to take time and all that stuff, for the first time in the longest time, guys, I actually feel confident. Jeremy said it before. I'll feel good if Joe Douglas feels good with the pick. Would I pick Hamilton or not? I don't know. But guess what? If Joe Douglas makes the pick, I trust that the information deconstructed and everything that they went through, he's the right pick at 4. And for once, we can actually feel confident in that. And that's new for us, guys. That's new. So I wanted to throw this at you guys. And Frankie, I'll start with you. There is some talk right now about the New York Jets being considered for Hard Knocks again. Now, we had one stint with Hard Knocks, which, if anyone doesn't know, is the HBO show where they go behind the scenes at an NFL training camp. Now, the Jets did that in 2010, and I still have to say, I know I'm biased, but it was about the best TV that Hard Knocks ever put out. I mean, it was unbelievable with the Rex Ryan snacks and fucking all the stuff that we saw. It was really incredible, and I enjoyed it, watching it. It had the whole Revis, holdout at the Roscoe Diner in New York, and all the stuff that they do, all the drama they created, Cromartie's kids. But I gotta say, as much as I enjoyed watching it as a fan, it is not a good thing to have the HBO crew. From my perspective, this is my opinion. I don't think it's a good idea to have the crew making a TV show out of what these kids should be working on, and really trying to focus on developing as players. And but a lot of people are in favor of it. So Frankie, what about you? Are you in favor of the Jets landing this Hard Knocks gig? How do you feel about this?
Hell no. No. We are not ready. We're not ready for prime time. Go see the Rams and go see the 49ers. Go see the Raiders. Go somewhere else, cameras. We're not ready. We're not ready for prime time. We're trying to build something here. We're trying to build it, and we just laid the foundation. That's all. We don't have a house. We don't have rooms. We don't have furniture. We don't have a television set. We have nothing. We have a foundation. Okay. You want to film a foundation? That's pretty boring. You want to watch blocking drills? I don't think you do. You want to watch tackling drills with tackling dummies? I don't think you do, because that's what we're going to be doing, working on the fundamentals. Go somewhere else. We don't need it. Hells no.
Nice. All right, man. That was passionate. Jeremy, where do you stand on the must-watch TV of the New York Jets on Hard Knocks?
Well, I think Stud City said it best. We have a better show. We have a great show already. That was awesome to watch.
Yeah, that's another good point.
Yeah, we have our own show. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a huge fan of Hard Knocks when it's other teams. I love watching it. My wife even gets into it, and it gets her more into football because she likes the stories and that stuff. It's cool. But no, I mean, it feels like it's a jinx. I mean, it's like every show, has a team done well after being on Hard Knocks? It feels like a big jinx to me.
Yeah. And look, just like you said, I'm a fan of the show too. Truth is, I haven't watched it. I've watched an episode here or there the last couple of years. I don't know why I've intended watching it, but I really do love it. It's fascinating to me. But what a good point. We have a show that, in my opinion, is at least on par with Hard Knocks. It's no worse. It's a fantastic show. Our film crew in their ultimate wisdom, even chose to put me on the show. So, and that's where we get the ain't no happenstance.
I mean, come on.
Right? I mean, come on. They found me in the middle of 80,000 people in a parking lot.
They said, that's a superstar right there.
Right.
We got him.
Let's put that guy on the show. So, I mean, and I'll forever love them for that alone. But they do put together some really, really top tier stuff, man. So I, for one, am really hoping that the Jets are not the team that lands this gig of Hard Knocks. You know, it's written into the CBA that a team has to, like, if they get selected, they have to say yes. There are certain reasons that you can use to deny the show, but overall, if you're selected, you have to say yes. It's part of the agreement. Isn't that crazy? That's how much HBO paid the NFL. So they have a little bit of pull. So I think they only pick teams that suck, though. I don't really know all the specifics of how a team gets selected for Hard Knocks, but the truth is that if you want to not get considered for Hard Knocks, the trick is not to suck. I mean, that's the trick. Go be the Chiefs. They're not bothering the Chiefs. They're not bothering the Patriots most years. They're not bothered. They don't bother them. They bother
why is that?
Jaguars.
Wouldn't you want to go see the Chiefs? Like, why do they want the bad teams? I mean, I would like to see behind the scenes with Andy Reid. I would like to see what's going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers. How about the Baltimore Ravens? How about Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots? What about them? Why can't we go behind the scenes with all of these great franchises? Why do we got to see the losers?
Well, I think because they know it's fucking bum deal. Like it's like Salah said this year with, when he was asked about the super early bye, like week 5, they're like, what do you think about that? He's like, well, they save the later buys for teams they think are going to be playing later. It's a benefit of being good. I think the similar mindset applies. Like, if you're good enough to be the team actually vying for the Super Bowl and all that kind of stuff, they're not going to do anything to knock you off course. Where the shitty teams, the Jets, the Lions, the Texans, whoever else, they got no problem saying, hey, we're going to watch you guys flounder around and try to become relevant. I don't know, right? Phil Adams, I think, nailed it, Frankie. Failure makes good TV, and that's what it is. I think that's the end of it. I think that's probably the best answer we could give. So Whataburger made it. We'll say hello to Whataburger in a little bit. I hope you're okay. Everything okay? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. You okay? All right, 2 thumbs up from Whataburger. I was worried. I didn't know what happened. He was late. He's never late, that fella. So I imagine some traffic or something like that. So what else we got? You know what we got? Let's do Frankie's segment. I almost forgot, Frankie. Frankie has a nice prepared set of goodies for us tonight. So let's get into that. Let me find it with a little bit of Frankie's facts. And there it is. So Frankie, you're up, buddy.
Love that intro still. I'll love it every single time. All right. This is the Frankie's Facts good news edition. We got a lot of good news here. So we'll start with this, and this is just going to be a hodgepodge of statistical goodness. Most pass breakups among second-year cornerbacks this season. Do you know who's number one? Would you guess? Most pass breakups among second-year cornerbacks this season in the entire NFL. Who's number one?
I got an idea. Jeremy, who do you think?
I'm hoping Bryce Hall.
Yeah, it's my answer.
Number one in the whole league, Bryce Hall, 14.
Wow.
Number 2, A.J. Terrell. Number 3, Christian Fulton. Bryce Hall, number 1 among second-year cornerbacks this season. All right.
Not bad.
About John Franklin Myers recorded 53 total pressures in 21. This is the most by a Jets defender since Leonard Williams had 55 in 2016. So 5 years ago.
Wait,
so
what did he have? 55 what? What was that?
53 total pressures in 2021. Most since Leonard Williams in 2016. So Elijah Moore before some of these things are going to be PFF stats, and we understand that. Just a standard disclaimer, we understand PFF isn't the Bible. It's people have problems with it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. But Elijah Moore had a 73.8 receiving grade as a rookie in 2021. This represents the highest by a Jets rookie wide receiver in the entire PFF era since 2006.
Really?
So
wow.
bright days ahead for Elijah Moore.
Now,
All
Frankie,
right.
in defense, though, of I mean, he doesn't have the best competition, but I just want to put that out there. But it's still good.
All right. Some of these are better than others. Okay. How about rush yards after contact per attempt leaders among rookie running backs in the entire NFL 2021? Who do you think the top 3 rush yards after contact per attempt among rookies running backs?
I say Michael Carter's number 1.
Yeah.
Michael Carter's
Michael Pirine.
Well, Michael Pirine not pictured. Number 1, Elijah Mitchell. Number 1, Elijah Mitchell, the 49ers, 3.50. Number 2, Javonte Williams, 3.42. Number 3, Michael Carter, 3.37.
I'll take it.
We'll take it.
Right. Top 3.
Braxton Berrios. How about some good news about Braxton Berrios? Braxton Berrios was the only player this season in the entire NFL to post 70-plus grades as both a kick and punt returner. How about that? And Mr. Douglas, please sign this man. We need him very badly. Okay, here's a great one. Here's a great one. Zachary Capono Wilson was the only quarterback in the entire NFL this season with 50-plus red zone dropbacks to record 0 turnover-worthy plays. Zippo. How about that for Mr. Wilson?
So not only no interceptions or anything, nothing like that. He got an interception dropped, like nothing turnover worthy. Is that what they're saying by that one? No mistakes that could have ended up in turnovers.
Exactly. So it's like, not only sometimes you throw it right to the guy on the other team and they drop it. And it's like, well, that's not you shouldn't get credit for that. It's the guy should have caught it. Right. But they're saying none of those at all. 0. Yeah. That's pretty special.
That's a good measurement that people don't look at when you look at the basic numbers that mean something.
Exactly. Because a lot of times quarterbacks,
Frankie,
they
David D chimed in.
What's that?
Well, David D said Jets are Super Bowl bound because of this segment so far.
All right. Well, you're going to get even more excited, David, when I continue on with these statistics because it just keeps getting better. How about the highest run blocking grades among rookie guards this season? Well, I think we know who this is going to be. But number 1 in the whole league, Trey Smith.
I got an idea.
Number 1 in the whole league, Trey Smith. 6th-round pick. Okay, great story, Trey Smith. 74.9. Number 2, Elijah Vera Tucker. 72.1. Monster.
Beautiful.
How about that monster?
Did Slater play tackle or guard this year?
Tackle.
Okay, so that's okay.
Rashawn Slater's another monster, but
right, yeah,
that's a different kind of monster.
I'm just curious how he stacked up, but different position.
All right, over the final 3 weeks of the 2021 season, Jason Pinnock from the University of Pittsburgh was PFF's 4th highest graded safety in the entire league. How about that? Jason Pinnock, not a safety in college, cornerback Jason Pinnock, J. Pinney, as we call him.
Oh my gosh. How many games did he play at corner or at safety, Frankie?
He played 4 or 5, but they're saying over the last 3 weeks of the season. So that's 3 games worth. That's not bad.
Against Buffalo, against Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Good teams. No bums in there.
Right. Good
something
teams
to look forward to. Maybe he can do it. Maybe he might be something. Maybe. How about this one? Here's a special teams. Bet you didn't expect this one. Del'Shawn Phillips was one of 6 special teams players to record a 90-plus PFF grade this season. Del'Shawn Phillips. How about that?
That's why he's on the team.
Yeah. That's
okay. Here's a surprising one.
Yeah. Oh.
here's a surprising one. Nathan Shepard. What did he do other than stink? Well, he had a career
the most
high.
penalized defensive tackle in the NFL.
Nathan Shepard had a career high 10 quarterback hits in 2021. This ranked as the 7th most among all interior defensive linemen. How about that? Who would have guessed that?
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy.
No one.
And I bet you we re-signed Nathan Shepard. That's my prediction.
You think?
Yes. Now, over the last 2 seasons, John Franklin Myers' 107 total pressures ranks as the 17th most among all NFL defenders. All NFL defenders. 17th most. JFM.
That's cool.
See, and people are saying he sucks.
Joe Douglas
shouldn't have
picked him
paid him,
up off the
Frankie.
scrap heap. Joe Douglas found this guy on the scrap heap, and look what he's doing now.
Wow.
Let's see what else.
Amazing.
Since week 13, here's an interesting one. Somebody put out an article this week, some clown, that the Jets should focus. The number one priority focus for the Jets this season should be on special teams. That's what this clown wrote in an article. Here's something. Since week 13, some clown, some ex-Jet clown scout guy who's on the SI fan sided. But here's something. Since week 13, the Jets have had the highest graded special teams unit in the entire NFL, 92.2. But we should focus on special teams. Forget about right guard. Forget about edge rusher, cornerback, safety. We need special teams. Yeah. Okay. Good article, guy.
Wow. I mean, since I guess we got a field goal kicker who started making the kicks, and it helped us, and the return touchdown for Barrios.
Yeah, and
right.
the blocking.
Right.
People always forget about the damn blocking, Jeremy. How about blocking? Blocking's important. I'm going to keep reminding.
Well, what's cool about that is that they played so well is that you know who joined and started playing on special teams in the later part of the season was Kenny Yeboah.
Well, that had to be it. Yeboah and Hamza, they were both on the unit. All right. Well, how about
Delshon Phillips?
And Delshon Phillips. How about the most missed tackles forced per rush attempt this season? The most missed tackles forced per rush attempt this season out of all the running backs in the NFL, not just rookies. Most missed tackles forced per rush attempt.
Number 2.
Number 1, Javonte Williams. Okay, good.
Wow.
Yeah. Number 2, Michael Carter.
Jesus.
Tied with Nick Chubb.
He's gonna
Look at these draft picks.
He's gonna be great,
picks, man.
He's gonna be great. Can you imagine when we get a right guard and the line comes together from week 1? Jeez, he's gonna be good.
Yeah, right.
It'd be amazing.
How about this one? This one you won't see coming. Highest graded wide receivers since week 12 in the entire NFL. Highest graded wide receivers since week 12 in the entire NFL.
Tell me, Elijah.
Number one, Cooper Kupp. Okay, you could figure that. Number 2, Devontae Adams. Makes sense. Number 3, T. Higgins. Okay, makes sense. Coming in at number 4, Braxton Berrios.
Wow.
How about that? Didn't see that one coming.
Unbelievable.
Please sign him,
See
Mr.
it
Douglas.
coming. I thought you were going for Elijah Moore.
All right.
I thought you were going for Elijah Moore there.
Me too. I was going to be, that's my boy. I didn't even have his jersey on. I was going to do it.
That's great.
All right. I'm pretty much out, but this is the last one. This was as of December 30th. So we're getting a little old for my data source here, but Michael Carter on December 30th, Michael Carter leads all rookie running backs with a 79.9 rushing grade this season, minimum 100 rush attempts.
I'm telling you, if that kid
Michael
can stay
Carter,
healthy.
who doesn't love Michael Carter? I can't. When I think about Michael Carter, I'm like, let's have a game right now. I want to watch a game with Michael Carter in it right now, today, January 27th. I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait until camp. I want to watch Michael Carter right now. That's how much I love that kid.
Well, I love his personality too, man. I mean, he's like just perpetually positive. He's got a great take on everything. Very attractive personality. Very upbeat. I could not like Michael Carter more than I do from the second we picked him when he did that chest bump with his brother and fell on his back against the door. From that moment on, I love that guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, look at that. And that stat about missing tackles or causing missed tackles. That is an amazingly important stat. It's like it's better than a lot of the other measurables that you can associate with running backs. Making people miss is something. Now, if he has the holes that some other running backs get and then makes people miss in the secondary like that, we're talking about potential greatness here, man. And I just can't wait. I'm with you, Frankie. I'm excited about this guy.
And you keep saying it like we about each player, and it makes you realize the other factor of character. When you say, "Oh, I love Varios," but it's all of them. These guys are great people. Like he really, in a very quick, short turnaround, brought in great quality human beings into this locker room, and I love it.
Absolutely. And if Michael Carter, I'm just hoping that Michael Carter and Elijah Moore become best of friends. I'm a little bit concerned that Elijah Moore's a little combustible. But if he hangs out with Michael Carter, they're both Florida boys. If they hang out together and they become best friends, Michael Carter will be a very good influence on Elijah Moore. Keep him out of trouble. Michael Carter's, I think, the son of a coach, and I think that's where he gets his personality from. And so I'm kind of hoping those Florida boys will stick together, and Michael Carter will keep Elijah Moore out of any potential, troublesome areas in life and keep him on the straight and narrow. That's the only concern I have. But other than that, but Elijah Moore's a great
What
kid.
do you mean combustible, Frankie?
I don't know. He seems a little emotional out there. Like he's fired up, and that's good to a certain extent. But then we saw that behind the scenes thing where he left his helmet where he wasn't supposed to, and Elijah Vera Tucker had to straighten him out. And I love that. AVT came and said, "Listen, E," they call him E. "Yo, E, we don't put our helmet over here." I don't know where he's supposed to put his helmet, where it was not supposed to be. I have no idea. But Elijah Vera Tucker knows. And he said, "Yo, E, we don't do that. We don't do that." Right? And he got the helmet and brought it to Elijah Moore. So Elijah Moore was obviously emotional and upset about the loss, and he put his helmet where he's not supposed to. And AVT had to straighten him out. So that kind of thing where his emotionality for Elijah Moore might eventually get him in trouble. He seems a little combustible. I don't know.
What Frankie is saying is all chaos needs some calmness.
Yeah. Every chaos needs a little calmness. That's how, it's yin and yang. That's how life works.
Yeah, I like it. Well, and that's a good point, man. I think that was a good one, Frankie. Might be my favorite Frankie's Facts yet. And I think it was really well done. Let's all give Frankie a round of applause, chat. Yay! Look at Frankie. All right. Wat2K's clapping too in the back. Before we bring on Wat2K has some interesting Senior Bowl stuff that I think we're going to love. But I wanted to ask you guys, there was a comment in the chat. Where the hell did it go? Let me find it because I want to give the person their due credit. He said, rumor is that the Jets, hold on. Oh, here it is. Ethan Gluck. Hold on. He says, anyone see the article saying we had the top odds to sign Aaron Rodgers? Now, let me ask you, Jeremy, I'll start with you real quick.
This has to be a troll.
What's that? What do you got?
Got to be a troll, right? He's trolling.
No.
I
heard this. No.
Really?
I heard this too. Yeah. So now let me ask you, Jeremy, in the event Aaron Rodgers calls and goes, "Hey, I want to play in New York," the whole thing. Are you the opportunity to sign Aaron Rodgers? Yes, we like Zach Wilson, all that shit. You can think as highly as you want, but Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Fame quarterback with many years left, most likely. Are you doing it? Are you going to push Zach Wilson to the background or trade him or whatever it is? But would you take Aaron Rodgers if you had the opportunity?
No. No way.
No.
Not even. I don't know that he has many years left. And he can't get to the Super Bowl with Green Bay's roster, which is a lot better than the Jets roster right now.
That's a good comment.
So by the time our roster gets good enough for Aaron Rodgers, how old is he?
Yeah. Not only that, but he's going to make $50 million. We're going to use up our entire cap space on one guy. Like, okay, now we got one guy. Great. Okay, nobody's going to block for him, and he's going to, get killed. I mean, no.
Yep. Nope.
Well, we still have all of our draft picks and everything. I guess you'd have to.
Yeah,
use
but then
some
we
of it to
can't
get
sign
Aaron
them.
Rodgers. I don't want him either.
How do you sign the draft picks? He literally was going to want 50 million, right? Because Mahomes makes 45, and Rodgers can make the case I'm better than him. He might win back-to-back MVPs. He might say, okay, my market is 50, so who's going to pay me 50? Well, our entire cap space is 50. So then we can't even sign our draft picks.
Yeah, that's a good point. How can anybody sign him then? How can anyone pay anyone $50 million? How can you do that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
How are the Chiefs paying Mahomes 45?
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, that's fucking $50 million. Who the fuck is? Yeah, I don't know. That just seems. You got 208 million. You're going to take 25% of the entire. We have 53 guys, dude.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't even like 30 mil. that bothers me. I mean, whatever it is, it is. I mean, these guys make so much money. That's not the issue for me. It's just I know that that's the market. That's what it is. It's fine. But 30 million, like who should get 30 million? Now we're talking 50 million. What the fuck? I don't even understand it. I know, but it's interesting. I wouldn't want Aaron Rodgers either. I personally don't like Aaron Rodgers very much as a not that I know him, but like all the years, he just always comes up as like a snide little bit of a douche. And I don't want that around our kids, even though supposedly he helped Zach Wilson out when we were up there wheeling Carl Lawson off the Green Bay practice field. Him and Zach had a nice little powwow. So maybe he's turning a corner, but I don't know. I don't want him either. But good answers. I'm surprised. I thought one of you would say, yeah, I'm across the board.
I'm a Rodgers fan too. And, I'm a Packers owner. So I like Rodgers. I like the Packers.
Oh, that's right.
I do own the Packers. Everybody
right.
knows. So, me and hundreds of thousands of other people. So I like Rodgers, and as a quarterback, and I take him or leave him as a person, but as a quarterback, he's fun to watch usually, except when he's screwing up like he did in the last game.
Yeah.
And I like him, but I still wouldn't want him for the Jets. No way. Not his situation. Nope.
Nope. And it does. And it's a ridiculous take. Like whoever wrote that article, it's so stupid because, I mean, come on, we've done enough. We've listened to Saleh and to Joe Douglas. We've listened to these guys enough to know if you've done any homework, he's not a fit for them anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Right. And we used the number 2 overall
Coach
pick.
Saleh literally said Zach Wilson is the future of this franchise. He came out and said that publicly. Zach Wilson is the future of this franchise. And I have no doubt that it's a heartfelt belief. So to go and get a guy for $40 million when you have the future of the franchise in the building, no, we'll spend that money elsewhere and make ourselves better.
Yeah, I know. And like the comment that I just had up there, he said, I love the way Big Joe D is building the team the right way. And I think, yeah, man, like we're really, I could say 2 years into this thing, even though with Saleh it's only and that whole crew it's only one. But let's say we're 2 years into this thing. Joe D kind of assessing the team, realizing he had to completely blow it up all the way down to Sam Darnold. Get rid of all the guys that were perceived to be the core building block, foundational pieces, gets rid of all of them and decides to acquire capital to build through the draft. Now we're 2 years into this thing and he's going to go sign Aaron Rodgers. Like, it's like, well, that's kind of the opposite, man. Now, if the whole team was in place and the quarterback is floundering and
right.
Okay. Makes sense.
That's different. It's different situation.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Like the Broncos, you could make the case, okay, Rodgers should go to the Broncos. Like if it's Rodgers and Devontae going to the Broncos, and that's the final piece for them. Well, they also need they got a new coach, didn't they just hire Nathaniel Hackett? So it makes perfect sense. Yeah. Makes perfect sense for Rodgers to go to Denver because Hackett comes from where? Green Bay. And Rodgers really likes Nathaniel Hackett. So you could say, okay, that makes sense for them. They have everything else in place. They have the defense. They have the running back. They have the offensive line. It's pretty good. They got tight ends. They got wide receiver. They got everything. All they need is a quarterback. And Rodgers goes with his guy Hackett. Okay, that makes sense for the Broncos. It doesn't make sense for us.
I agree. I want to let everybody know Paul Esden, Boy Green himself, is in the chat. Everybody say hello to Boy Green. I think I'll be spending a portion of my Saturday morning with Paul. And I wanted to let everybody know congratulations are in order. Our good friend, Boy Green himself, has become a brand new daddy. So congratulations, Paul. I couldn't be happier for you. It changed my life, man. It turned my face gray, but it's also got some good stuff too. So I think you're going to like it. I think it's just the best thing in the world, being a dad. And I think that you're going to be a great one. You have just such an awesome personality. So congratulations, Boy Green. And he brings up, looks like GreenBean is close to 5,000 subscribers. Let's make it happen. I am less than 100 away, guys. Woo-hoo. Less than 100. When I started my contest 6 weeks ago, I needed 1,400 subs, and now I'm down to less than 100. So if you haven't subscribed, now is the best time. Subscribe here, and then on my my other channel, Full-Time Coaster Tour, all you got to do is hit those 2 sub buttons, and you're in the contest to win a shirt of your choice from the GreenBeanjetsfan.com merch store, and one grand prize winner, will also win the shirt, but they get the Manscaped Ultra Smooth Pack and a series of Green Bean stickers. And the word series might give you an illusion that there's more than one kind. That is incorrect. They are just a group of the same sticker that I will be giving you. So you get a shirt, the Manscaped thing, and some stickers. But thanks, Paul, for bringing that up. So, guys, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Now is the best time to do so. Get me over to 5,000 subs, and then obviously like this video and help our algorithm to bring us to higher levels of success. And maybe we can even move into some of the ground that the beat now occupies and take it away, because they suck and we're great. The independent Jets coverage is significantly better than the actual Jets coverage. I don't even believe they watch football. If it wasn't their job, I'm telling you right now, half of those guys wouldn't even watch. And that's what I think. So thank you, Paul. And let's congratulate him in the chat if you haven't already. But that's a good thing. So let's bring on Whataburger. Whataburger has some really interesting information, and I think that would be super cool. Is Jake Asman in the chat, you said?
Yeah, Jake Asman says that if you don't subscribe to GreenBean's channel, you hate America.
Oh, I didn't see you, Jake. Well, thank you. Jake Asman is here as well. And I agree with that. You do hate America if you don't subscribe to GreenBean. That's a good way to look at it. So thank you, guys. I appreciate you being here. Paul Boy Green Esden says he loves this show. And, well, this show loves you, Paul. And that is the truth. So let's bring on Whataburger. You ready, buddy? I'm looking. There it is. Okay. Just don't want you to be half naked or anything. Let's say hello to Whataburger. He has some amazing stats about the Senior Bowl. You guys are going to like this. I'm really interested in what you got tonight. Before we do that, though, how you doing tonight, Whataburger? Everything good?
Yeah, we're doing pretty well. I saw the weather report down here in Southeast Virginia for the weekend. They were predicting a snowstorm, and it said accumulation will be less than 1 inch.
That's quite a storm.
Snowstorm.
Oh, geez. How are you going to deal with that, Whataburger? I don't know how you're going to do it.
I've already got bags of salt. I'm already icing. I'm salting the back porch and everything already, man.
You need snowshoes.
You got your toilet paper?
Oh, boy.
Got to go get your toilet paper, buddy.
The bread, the milk, the water,
funny.
So history. Can't find them.
Right. So Whataburger, if you don't know, is the president of the Virginia Jets fan club, and they meet for every single New York Jets game at AJ Gators in Norfolk, Virginia. And I went down there with them for one game this year, spent the whole afternoon with them, and great group of people, legitimately good wings and tons of giveaways. You guys have a quite the extensive table of Jets merchandise, Virginia Jets fan merchandise. It was really cool. I was impressed. The shirt that I won, I think I might have been a shoo-in, Jeremy. I won while I was down there. But I want to show. I've gotten more than one compliment on that shirt when I wear it. Like, that's a nice shirt. I'm like, yeah, I know, man. They fucking gave it to me. So they're giving this stuff away. Anyway, if you're looking for a good group of guys, or girls for that matter, a good group of people to hang out with during the Jets games when they're playing, and you're in Virginia, no place like the Virginia Jets fan club. And Whataburger is the president, so we're happy to have you here, buddy. So what do you got for us with your new, you look like you got a nice fresh haircut. You look good, Watu.
I
You looking
did.
good.
Yeah,
What do
I
you
got a
got for us?
haircut. Yeah, dropped a couple of pounds. Yeah, feels good.
I can tell.
But I haven't trimmed this. Literally, I have not trimmed this in 3 months, so I'm making up for it.
Yeah, the beard is the way.
Well, you're not allowed.
Is the way.
You're not allowed on this show. You're not allowed on my show if you do that. If you shave, that's what Jeremy's doing too. That's the beard show.
Yeah, when the guys run from the last
So
show,
what you
clean shaven, I'm like, how did they get through security? How'd that happen?
we have very lax security here at the Thursday Thick of It.
Yeah. So Y2K, you got some research done for us. Why don't you let us know what it all looks like?
I did. So what I did is I looked at the last couple of Senior Bowls. I went back to 2018, and I looked to see who coached those teams, and then what players that they coached did they wind up drafting later on in the draft that year. And it was pretty interesting. Looking at some of these stats here. So in 2018, the coaches, the teams represented were Denver and Houston. Now, in 2018, this was the year Denver drafted guys like Bradley Chubb and Cortland Sutton and Josie Jewell, the linebacker who I wouldn't mind taking a swing at in free agency. No one's talking about him. I wouldn't mind it. The only guy they drafted was Isaac Yasidov in the 3rd round. So Denver drafted one player in 2018 that they coached at the Senior Bowl. Houston was the South team. Justin Reed, by the way, was their 1st-round pick that year. Another guy we're watching. Jordan Akins was they picked him in the 3rd round. So each team picked one player that they coached. So that's 2018. In 2019, the two teams were Oakland and San Francisco. So it was the Bay Area Bowl. Now, this was the draft where Oakland drafted some great players. Josh Jacobs, Max Crosby, and Clelin Ferrell was their 1st-round pick. They drafted a grand total of 0 players that they coached in the Senior Bowl. Not a single one. San Francisco, on the other hand, drafted some guy you may have heard of in the 2nd round named Deebo Samuel. And of all the guys
they coached him at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, of these four drafts, this was the only player who was drafted in either the 1st or 2nd round. That Senior Bowl team that coached the team that they wound up drafting. But let's go to 2020. I'll do the last 2 years for you. It was Detroit coaching the North and Cincinnati coaching the South. Detroit in the 4th round drafted a guy named Logan Stenberg. Cincinnati drafted, that was the year they drafted Joe Burrow and T. Higgins. Well, they were not coached by Cincy in the Senior Bowl. It was Logan Wilson, fine linebacker, and Hakeem Adeniji. I know I'm butchering the last name, but they drafted Hakeem.
Yeah.
So they drafted 2 guys. And then finally, last year, the 2 teams were Miami and Carolina. Miami coached the national team. As we know, they've had a pretty good draft, it looks like, right? Jalen Waddle and Jalen Phillips, Javon Holland. That's a pretty good 1, 2, 3. The only guy they drafted that they coached was Hunter Long, the tight end in the 3rd round. Carolina, which coached the American team, they drafted guys like Brady Christensen, Terrace Marshall, J.C. Horn, our guy Chuba Hubbard. They drafted 2 6th-rounders in Shai Smith and Deontay Brown. So in the last 4 years, it's never been more than 2 players that were drafted by the coaching staff that coached them in the Senior Bowl. So there you go.
That's interesting. I really thought that there was going to be a few more. I mean, look, the Senior Bowl is only a small collection of the players that you have access to. There's obviously the guys that are seniors and don't go to the Senior Bowl, and then obviously you have all the juniors and everything. But I still thought that there might be maybe a little bit more, maybe 3 guys or 2 guys when there were none or something like that. But it's still fairly consistent. There was only one team that didn't draft anyone from their Senior Bowl team. Is that accurate?
That is correct. Oakland in 2019. And they still had a good draft.
Interesting.
With Jacobs and Crosby.
That Clelin Ferrell pick was an interesting one, but he's still a good draft.
It's probably an unfair question, but I'd be curious to know, 1-2K, if you know how many guys these teams signed as undrafted free agents for that they coached in the Senior Bowl, because to me, one of the big benefits of the Senior Bowl are those fringy guys who are undrafted and who are going to have a lot of offers coming in at them, and they might choose us. Like, we might be able to get an extra cornerback or defensive back just because they love being coached by Tony Oden, for example. And so they think, okay, this guy's gonna get the most out of my talent, and whether I stick with the Jets or go to another team, that's the guy I want to be around, in training camp and things like that. But I don't know if you researched that or not.
This was like college days. I was like cramming for a final last minute with like 30 minutes to study. We could look at, I could definitely look into it, but I could tell you that, let's see, I think it was 9 draft picks that I mentioned, I believe 9 or 10, and 4 of them were selected in the 3rd round, and 3 of them were selected in the 6th round, and you had a 2 and a 4. So it's kind of spread out kind of all over the place, but considering that there's a number of 6th rounders in there, it is very possible.
Yeah. I think that's a great point.
I'd love to get a guy like Bo Melton. He might get drafted, but if he's an undrafted free agent, that's a guy who's a wide receiver, hyper competitive. They call him, out of Rodgers, right in our backyard. So like, if he became an undrafted free agent, I would love if we could sign him. That's a type of guy that you love to get on a team. Hyper competitive dude. You bring him in, he's fighting for his roster spot, and that's exactly who you want. So that's the type of guy I love.
Yeah. Well, and that's really a good point. And Sergeant Mike brings up a good point in the chat too. He says, this is a 2-pronged benefit. You also know who not to draft, which is just as important. So maybe there's a guy that in your, your intel and your scouting report, you think pretty highly of him. Then you spend a week with him at the Senior Bowl and you find out, what? This guy's actually smoking crack at night. Hey, where the fuck, we didn't even know that. How do we not know?
Yeah. He doesn't show up early. He shows up late to meetings. He's a little, he's not really into it. He's getting by on his athleticism, all the little things.
Yeah. I think that's fascinating. And now this particular I'm going to share with you guys what I believe. Now, I did put a video out about this, so a lot of you guys probably saw it. Maybe the panel here didn't, but I'll reiterate anyway. I happen to believe, and I believe this strongly, that our connection to the Senior Bowl is stronger than most teams' connections with the Senior Bowl are. And a lot of that is through Phil Savage, who not only was the executive director of the Senior Bowl just prior to Jim Nagy, but he's also from Mobile, Alabama. He was born there, grew up there, went to high school there, went to college very close to there. He was the radio personality for the Crimson Tide for a number of years, in addition to him running the Senior Bowl. So this guy has deep, deep roots in Mobile, Alabama, where the Senior Bowl is. And I happen to believe that he hand-selected quite a few of the players that the Jets are hoping to get a closer look at. Guys like Trey McBride, Jeremy Rucker, Charlie Kolar, like Zion Johnson, Devin Lloyd, and maybe Dubs and Dotson and some of these other guys. I think that we might end up being the team that breaks the mold of that a little bit. Maybe we draft 2 guys from the Senior Bowl, maybe even 3. Could you imagine if we end up grabbing Zion Johnson, Devin Lloyd, and maybe Trey McBride and Jeremy Ruckert or something like that, and we had them all on the Senior Bowl team? Wouldn't that be crazy, Jeremy? What do you think the likelihood is of the Jets ending up drafting some of these guys that we're looking at for the Senior Bowl team that we're coaching?
Because there's like really good, strong candidates in positions of need for us, I think that there's a good chance. I don't know that it's going to be any more than the 2 that other teams seem to go for, but I wouldn't be shocked if it ended up being more, because we have a lot more picks. Like, how many picks did those teams have when they, those coaching staffs, when they coached the Senior Bowl? We have a lot of picks, so we might have more of, ability to pick a lot of them. If there's one position, by the way, because we say it, we talk about it in the mocks. The one thing I will say, if there was one position I think we could double up on, or might, that I could see like as likely more than other positions, it is the tight end position.
Absolutely.
Because of the depth of the tight ends in the draft, I could see it happening.
and the depth of our need. It matches perfectly. There's a lot of good tight ends in the draft, and we got nobody. I mean, we got Kenny Yeboah, we got, Wesco, and the other one, Griffin. That's not a good, we got one developmental guy and two guys we could say goodbye tomorrow, and I wouldn't be upset. So we need one. I think we need one free agent and 2 draft picks, maybe 3 draft picks.
How dare you overlook
Greenbean happy?
Cager? How dare you overlook Lawrence Cager?
And we got Lawrence Cager, and we didn't sign Katoy, but we've some other guy. Well, yeah, but I mean that's talk about developmental. Lawrence Cager as a tight end is developmental. But I love that Joe Douglas is looking under every single rock, to find talent and getting creative. I'm going to go to the Canadian Football League. I'm going to turn this guy into a tight end. I mean, who can't? That you love that kind of stuff. And right. Bradley and I.
Bradley and I.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Right now, the options are limited. So, when you're able to take a downtime and turn it into 4 or 5 additional guys for your roster, at least even if it's just a training camp roster, that's of incredible benefit. One thing you can't take from Joe Douglas is that he's always working. Like, that guy is always with an ear to the ground. And it's it seemingly never stops. It's all year long with him. It's all throughout the season. We're moving guys around, all this sort of thing. And that's one of the things I really like about him. Not to say that Mac didn't do that at times. He did. All of our GMs have done it, but not quite to the degree that I think we're seeing with Joe Douglas. And that's really important. But, Y2K, what I mean by our roster, maybe we get a little bit more picks. I think that the guys on our team are the guys out of the pool that we want to see. So we have a closer look at the guys that we might be interested in. And like Frankie and Jeremy were saying, I think the tight end group in particular seems to be particularly strong. I mean, the only other guy that really might be of interest in the tight end group playing at the Senior Bowl is Isaiah Likely. And he's a little small for what I think that the Jets are looking for. So I think that we could. You think it's realistic that the Jets might pull from the Senior Bowl roster and bring in like maybe 2 or 3 of these guys?
I would be very surprised if they didn't. I mean, we know Joe Douglas loves his leadership. We had the captain's draft not that long ago. So with the youngest roster in the NFL as of right now, you might be bringing in more young players, but at least you bring in mature young players, because Joe Douglas knows we've got to get this thing turned around and quickly. The grace period is about over. So if you are going to build in the draft, that's great, but you better bring in guys who are ready to contribute. I mean, how many more projects can we really take on? We need contributors, and they need to be contributing quickly.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I don't think the clock is ticking on Joe Douglas like some people are insinuating. I think that the Jets owners know this is a 6-year deal. That's why he signed 6 years, and he told them what's going on. That said, I do agree with you. We're in the Zach Wilson window and that rookie contract window. So I do think it's time to start bringing in some guys that can contribute right now. You can still use your late round picks and develop guys and all that, but up top, I think we need to get some guys, and I'm hoping that Trey McBride is one of them. That would be fantastic after we sign Dalton Schultz, of course. I think that's definitely going to happen. Like Frankie said, all the big named free agents are going to be beating down our door. So I think Dalton Schultz might be one that we let in. I think we may let him in. We have a super chat from our good buddy Mumtaz Shamsi. Thank you, Mumtaz. I appreciate the super chat. Does ESPN ranked rookie classes? We are ranked 20 of 32. Seattle is only 3 picks is ranked ahead of us. I know our 2021 draft was good, but still, this sucks. So he's talking about the ESPN ranking system, Frankie. You have any thoughts about this complete sham? I mean, don't forget, Samini is our ESPN correspondent, so we got to remember that. What are your thoughts about ESPN ranking our rookie draft class so low?
Yeah, my thoughts are this is bullshit. D. Eskridge, their first pick that they had last year, had a total of 64 receiving yards all year. I mean, unless I'm mistaken, D. Eskridge was their first pick of the draft. He had 64 total yards on the whole year. Elijah Moore has
That's
64
not good.
yards when he wakes up in the morning, okay, before he gets to the stadium, okay? So I don't want to hear about – I don't even know who their other two picks are. So there's zero chance that this is accurate. It's total bullshit. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, now, Mumtaz, that's the thing. Like, this is what we're talking about. Like, when we say things like boycott the beat and all this stuff, I mean, we don't want to take it seriously and make it like our plight in this world, right? Like, there are some guys that really want to, it's like, it's their rallying cry, and that's all great. And I fully support it, and I'll boycott the beat and support that every day of the week. But this is what we're talking about when we say those things. It's like, why do you think they would do this? Like, this is a concerted, this is a focused, deliberate attempt to make us feel the way that you're expressing right now.
Right.
It's that we go, what the fuck is that? And we get mad, and then we chat, and then we do. There is no way in hell that our draft class was worse than the Seattle Seahawks draft class, and that we only were number 20 or whatever. Dude, our draft class started all year, and most of them had very, very good numbers. So how the hell, like Frankie just gave us all the numbers. AVT was really high. Zach Wilson came out the end of the season and had some really, like a very nice turnaround. Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, his numbers. And then you got Michael Carter the second. And it's like, it's bullshit. But this is what they do. Do not forget, Rich Cimini is our ESPN guy. He is known. He does nothing except create drama. Everything he writes, every question he asks our players has to do with some dramatic take on things. Well, what did you think about what this guy said? And why would you? Like, that's who he is. So don't take it. Don't let them in. Don't let them rent 1 square foot of your headspace. Not unless they're paying you a premium. So don't let it happen. But it's par for the course.
One thing
it's
about
complete
this
bullshit.
This wasn't ESPN. This is actually PFF that put these rankings out. And we actually talked about this before with the offensive line. They rated AVT, the 5th ranked offensive lineman on the Jets, even below Greg Van Roten. It even says here in the summary, Elijah Vera Tucker flashed elite traits on the offensive line, but he couldn't put together full games with elite pass protection and run blocking. I hear that and I want to throw my phone in the air. PFF hates AVT.
Don't do it.
But they love. How much credibility am I supposed to? They have less credibility than ESPN right now.
You know what's weird is PFF does have weird. You know what's weird about PFF? They do have a way of writing weird articles in the off season that I don't think reflect their ratings, because it's really hard to understand what the hell they're talking about sometimes. And I think sometimes they just pay people to write opinion pieces, but it's hard for anybody. I mean, because AVT is basically on all the rookie teams. Everybody's giving him props. Everybody who understands football is giving AVT all the props and saying this is going to be a stud. And the same thing with Michael Carter, and the same thing with Elijah Moore. Anybody who knows anything about football knows those guys are all going to be studs. And it's also the balance of likelihood is that Zach Wilson will be too. And if all you do is look at those 4 guys, and that's what happens, you have a great draft just there. And then we got other starters. Everybody played from that draft class. Even Jonathan Marshall got on the damn field. So to think that that's true, it's insane. So I don't know what PFF is doing, but I think, that they sometimes have these weird opinion pieces that are just strange. I think they're just clickbait.
Yeah. And that's all it is, Mumtaz. I want to just make sure that we say this very, very clearly. That was designed to make you feel the way you feel, because Jets fans are known to be a rambunctious bunch that responds. It's like somebody said earlier this year when we kept winning Rookie of the Week. One thing you can say about Jets fans, they're online. And that is the truth. We're out there and we respond to everything. We come in force. And listen, even national guys do it. Like, so you got our beat guys. They've perfected the craft of riling us up. But even the national guys, they even dipped in. What about Mark Schlereth? Mark Schlereth dipped into the Jet thing. And Mark Schlereth even trolled me on Twitter. Like, dude, at the time I had like 800 followers. And he's literally trolling me. Like I told him, what the fuck is your problem, man? And I said some really other funny stuff that I can't remember right now. But but like that's the thing. They know, like, if you want just a quick burst in attention, say something about the Jets, because our fans are like no other fan base in the NFL. We're incredibly responsive, and they use us, which is why we support the boycott the beat thing. Just stop following these guys. ESPN is hot garbage, man. I'm not sure if you realize that, but everything they do is in some way designed to elicit some sort of emotional response from you. It's not informational. We're informational. So, and like Jay Spector says, they're the Helen Keller of football facts.
I think what I've learned too, just so you guys know too, I think what I learned, and you guys know I did a PFF video every week, and some people think, oh, Frankie did a PFF video, he must love PFF. What I've learned over the year, I kind of lost more respect for PFF as I looked at their grades as the year went on, because I did those videos. One reason I did was to figure out, like, is this the Bible? Is this, how should we use PFF, and should we use it at all? And I think as the year went on and as it concluded, I came to the conclusion that, yeah, it's good to look at it to see what the grades are, but I'm not that impressed with it. I'm definitely less impressed now than I was at the beginning of the year when I started looking at it.
Yeah. I mean, look, Frankie, you said it really well early on. You said that it's just one tool.
Yeah.
But it can't be the Bible, and that's the whole thing. So, hey, we're running out of time here on the show, but I wanted to get to a very fun piece, the WA2K trivia segment. So, WA2K, why don't you see if you can stump us? Chat, we're going to let you answer first, and then we'll take a swing at it. Do me a favor. Be honest. Don't go real quick. Look it up so you can look smart. See if you really know the answer of WA2K's question, and let's see what he comes up with. He has been stumping us of late. So let's see what he has right after I say good night to Phil Adams. Good night, buddy. He made it to 3 a.m., and that's more than anybody over here is doing. So respect, Phil. Respect. Good night, buddy. So WA2K, you're up, buddy. What do you got?
Oh, we got a panel of 3 tonight instead of a panel of 5 like last week. Okay. So let's take a look here. We are going to talk about special teams tonight, gentlemen. The question is this. This is a sort of like a 2-part question. Who has kicked the most 50-plus yard field goals in their Jets career, and how many 50-plus yard field goals did they make? Because I'm pretty confident you might get the kicker, but can you guess how many 50-plus yard field goals they made in their Jets career?
I know what
I got the answer. Yeah, I got an answer. I can't wait to see if it's what you're thinking, Jeremy.
Of course it is. Of course it is. We started watching the Jets at the same time.
No, it's not him. It's not him. It's not him.
It is. But I will give you one hint. It is not Doug Bryan. Okay.
Didn't think it was.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Right. So do you see now, guys in the chat, give us your answers, your name and your number of kicks. I see Garrett Ham has John Hall. That was going to be my answer, WA2K. Is it John Hall?
John Hall is a good answer, but he is second all-time in 50-plus yard field goals.
It's Patrick Leahy.
50-plus. I don't think Pat Leahy was strong over 50 yards. He was 45 and under.
He played so long, you'd think he must have, he played for so many years.
It's a good answer.
Yes. Yeah. Pat Leahy was abysmal from long distance.
Yeah. I remember.
He was 4 for like 20. He was brutal.
Yeah, 45 and under, he was a lock, but 50 and over, he wasn't good.
Yeah.
He was, he had the accurate leg.
So I'm definitely seeing the correct name, but no, I don't think anybody has the correct number yet. Nobody has the correct number.
So Riley Wilson is saying Nick Folk. Is it Nick Folk?
Nick Folk is the correct kicker. Yes.
Wow.
But how many did he have?
All right, so we got Nick Folk. George Gillen.
John Hall. He had 9 50-plus yard field goals in his career as a Jet. How many did Nick Folk have?
Wow.
Well, I didn't know he was there that long.
Wow.
I mean, we didn't have that high.
John Hall had that 50 and over leg.
I mean, we'd move the ball, but we'd settle for some long field goals, and he made them.
I mean, Eddie Pinheiro has one. So
He's
in the running.
Creeping his way up.
Eddie was good.
So Red Dog says Folk with 14. Does he have 14?
That is not correct. I'm looking at the chat, and nobody has given me the number yet. No one yet. Somebody will, but nobody yet.
Wow.
742.
So John Hall had, John Hall had 9.
He had 9.
And
we got it.
he obviously had more. So don't.
Michael Elias just gave the right answer. 18. He was the first one. 18. 18.
Holy smokes. Pinheiro's got 17 to go. Eddie P's got some work to do.
Who was the general manager that cut him again? It was Mac. Right?
It was Mac, but you got to keep in mind he went to Tampa Bay, was horrible, and got cut. He was playing for like the Arizona Rough Riders or something before
New England went to the Patriots, and he's good all of a sudden.
I mean, he was not good in Tampa.
What
you got to keep that
there.
in mind.
That's how it goes.
It's not like we cut Justin Tucker here.
What?
Right.
So he goes to Belichick, and now
right.
Belichick
and in Mac's defense,
that's a craziness.
Yeah, it's the way it goes. Well, look, the truth is Dallas cut Nick Folk too. When we signed him, they couldn't get him out of town fast enough. So we got him, and he ended up being really good for us for a long time. Probably, in the running for our best kicker ever if Leahy didn't have 18 years with us. But, Nick Folk was fantastic off the scrap heap. And then in Mac's defense, he did find Jason Myers off the scrap heap right after Nick Folk. So you can't really fault him on that one. And like Wat2K said, Folk had that down period. He was kicking for the Rough Riders, he says. So that's not the best.
Things. I think they'll be in the USFL this season. Who knows?
Right. Well, that's an interesting one. So I don't think we can say you stumped us, but you definitely had well, I guess you did with the number. So he stumped us again. You got to give it to him, Frankie.
Yeah.
But who's going to guess that number? Like, how are we going to guess that number? Like, that's
never.
If I had just said who was the kicker, you would have had it within a minute. Somebody would have had it within a minute.
Well,
I just didn't know he was.
I was going to say, I was going to say 5. That was 5 or 6. Wow. 18, Jeremy. I can't even believe 18? That's real. We saw 18 50-plus yard kicks.
Yeah.
How long was he our kicker for? How many years?
Not long enough. Not long enough.
4 years, I think it was. Maybe 5.
Wow.
Maybe 5. That's incredible.
Right on Pro Football Reference, man. Right on PFR. So
incredible. Yep. Well, John Hepburn says that every time he kicked, he would scream, "What the folk?" Every time. Well, John, I'm not sure if you remember in the stadium when we had Louis Aguiar as our punter for about 8 years there, every time he punted, the person who plays the music in the stadium would play Louis. Oh, every single time. We heard it all damn game. It was terrible. Every time. It was terrible.
It's not a thing.
All right. Well, thank you, Watu. Yeah. Thank you, Wat2K. That was good. He's undefeated, guys. We haven't really nailed one of Wat2K's trivia questions yet. We get there, but he's gotten us. So you're doing a great job, man. I'm impressed. I didn't think
fair, like I said, we got as smart of a group as you'll find, and hey, we got to learn something. So what's wrong with that?
Hey, nothing. I love it. I think it's fantastic, and you're doing a great job with it. So I thank you. Guys, we are at the end of our show. I will let you know that, again, we're almost done with the contest. So if you haven't subscribed, now's the best time. Get yourself in on the contest by subbing here and getting over to my other YouTube channel, Full-Time Coaster Tour, and subbing there. We're in the home stretch. And don't forget to check out our sponsor for this show, DraftKings. Their information to download the app is right in the description of the video below. Do that. Use the promo code GreenBean and get 56-1 odds. Now, Frankie, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you, my friend?
Yeah, Frankie from Flatbush channel right here on YouTube. And I'll be coming out with a what to do about the wide receiver video. And I think that one's going to get people riled up because I've noticed that people are very, very emotional about the wide receiver position. This is something I've come to appreciate this week with my videos. People are coming onto my channel and getting all emotional about DJ Moore because I said his production declined a little bit this year. And everyone said, wait a minute, what are you talking about? DJ Moore's great. That's Sam Darnold. And they get their hair on fire. So I'm going to come out with a whole video about wide receiver, and I think people are going to be very upset.
Well, that's good.
Great.
Frankie, getting everybody pumped up and then been the wrong way. I love it. Jeremy, why don't you let everybody know what you got going on, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't anybody in here right now subscribe to Frankie from Flatbush's channel? It doesn't make any sense. Everybody should. With me, it's you. With Frankie, you're doing it for facts. You're doing it for really good content. With me, you're doing it for charity. I can't go based on my content, but you can come and you can subscribe to my channel. And when I get to 500, I'm going to help Matt O'Leary raise a lot of money for St. Jude. So that's why I'm trying to get you to go to my channel. Don't watch the videos. Just go and subscribe. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe you'll like some of the videos too. But subscribe to our channels, guys. Help us out. We'll always be like, we're so happy to be part of GreenBean's team, but we got our own little thing going too, and we like doing our shows.
Yeah, and that was good. Jeremy did the hot sauce challenge. He did an entire mock draft after eating what he says is the hottest hot sauce this side of the Mississippi. So it was fun. It was funny. Let me say that. And it was fun, definitely funny. That much I can vouch for. So Y2K, the Virginia Jets fan club got anything going on? You got that chili cook-off coming?
Yeah, we had to push it back a little bit between snow issues, the 1-inch snowstorm, and actually the host has COVID. So we're going to push it back a little bit, but we're planning on doing it in March. Actually, in February, we're going to be doing a officers meeting to kind of plan the off season. We want to start doing monthly events again, which we haven't done in 2 years. During the off season, I'm sure Top Golf will be on the list, probably Norfolk Tides baseball. We'll have a couple of things going on. There'll be a draft party for sure. But I think Friday we're going to meet at a guy's house, and there may be a polar plunge happening that particular day. So,
wow.
Keep the kids away, and probably keep the girlfriends away too, I would advise.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Always something fun going on with the Virginia Jets fan club. And again, our buddy Y2K is the president. All you got to do is Google Virginia Jets fan club.
For you now, huh?
That's right. Yeah. And pretty soon, probably this week, Y2K will release his first article for GreenbeanJetsfan.com. And I'm excited about that. We have Dom C writing the positional breakdowns every week. And they've been really well received, man. I can't believe there's a lot of comments on the website and stuff, and I'm getting a lot of positive feedback. The articles are fantastic. And Y2K is joining the team. And Jeremy has a section on there as well. I don't know if he'll be adding anything to it, but you can read everything that Jeremy wrote on the blog section of GreenbeanJetsfan.com. And guys, I will also remind you about my Patreon. If you would consider supporting the channel and making it so I can continue to do this, all you need to do is click on the link for my Patreon below. There are 3 tiers. Each tier comes with specific benefits. We just had our first classic game watch party last night. We watched the Midnight Miracle together in a private room. It was friggin' awesome. It was such a good time. And we do that every month. And then for levels 2 and 3, we do the weekly positional breakdowns as well. And that is starting this coming Wednesday as well, where Dom C and I will be in there with you going over the ups and downs and all arounds of many of the prospects that we're looking at in the upcoming draft. Should be a good time. So again, it supports the channel and you get some pretty cool extra content out of it as well. The link right in the top of the description. I want to thank the panel for being here tonight. You guys are just the best. I so much enjoy this with you guys. And as always, I want to thank the chat. You guys are unparalleled, man. The way that you guys are in this chat, I don't see any chats out there, and I watch a lot of live streams and shit. It's nothing like this. You guys are the absolute best, and I couldn't be more grateful for you than I am. And with that said, we are going to end this show. Thank you for watching. Everybody have a great night.
Yeah, here we come, baby. Here we come. Here come the Jets, baby.
I want to kiss you.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah! You want to run or you want to duck down? You want to duck, just go over and get onto the benches. stay there.
You play to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets, Jets.